you, Cody, that if you can pull off in the future, I think you got to do. I think I'll leave it at that.
I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm always open. You have to show me. I'm very tired today, by the way.
Really?
I had to go.
Kid
got sick in the middle of the night. And then he was like doubled over in pain. So then eventually for like an hour. And so eventually we had to go to the old ER, make sure he's fine, by the way.
You went to the ER like in the middle of the night, just this past morning?
And he was this morning. So like I was there at like 2 this morning.
Oh, gosh.
And he was putting on like, by the time it all settled in, he was putting on the show too. So because he's interested in math and science, as we've discussed on this show, you should have seen him working the x-ray techs. Like, hey, we got to get an x-ray. Somebody said, I love x-rays. That's what he told him. They're like, have you ever had it? He's like,
he
no.
loves x-rays?
That's what he said. I mean, I don't know that he's ever uttered that sentence before. He said, I love x-rays. He's like, well, you ever had one? He said, no. He's like, I really wish I could see inside, but I know you're looking at me, so you can't. And so after, they got him to do like a whole slideshow for him. They showed him all the x-rays of the inside of his body.
So he's fine?
After.
I mean...
He's fine at the moment.
All right.
Everything is... He's not
just
like...
a little scare in the middle of the night.
Yeah. So now it's just like, all right, maybe get coffee at 2 o'clock. Had some this morning. We'll survive. Other than that, the weekend was okay. I'm excited to hear about your guys' weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know what you guys were up to as well on the text line, 913-586-7965. That's the J Southland Tow Service text line. Video stream also going to be up and running on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the shows here on 96.5 The Fan. Let's start with the Royals and multiple moves that I think a lot of people were asking for weeks and weeks. They all occurred in like a 4 or 5 day period. I, of course, am talking about Nick Lofton got the call up when we left you guys on Friday's show. Nick Lofton was called up. Of course, Hunter Renfroe was DFA'd. Then yesterday, John Rave got the call up. And that was a name that for weeks and weeks had been discussed. Hey, he's doing well in AAA. If you need just some incremental improvement offensively, could he be a guy that helps you? He made his MLB debut yesterday for the Royals in what was just an ugly day, I think, to be out at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals didn't play that well. It was raining throughout the entire game. It was just one of those ugly games. Michael Lorenzen didn't have his best stuff. It was really rough. They were hitting him around early on in the game. And after the holiday weekend, here they are 55 games in, and the Royals are at a historically bad pace offensively. We all know where the offensive numbers have been, but no team has scored fewer than 6.8 runs per game since 1972. And right now they're on like a 6.6, 6.59 runs per game average across the first 54, 55 games.
When you hear that, you're like, how do they have a winning record?
Well, we know the answer to that, but yeah.
I know, but like your initial instinct would be like, not should this just be a team that's struggling. This should just straight up be a bad team. With an offense performing at that level, it should just be a bad baseball team. The most encouraging thing, if you're just trying to wake up in the morning and put a smile on your face, is they're not. They're a winning baseball team because the offseason plan of pitching is still going gangbusters. Doesn't matter the fact that Michael Lorenzen got beat up yesterday. People will have bad starts. Noah Cameron was even better somehow. Now he's getting the strikeouts immediately. Because I was like, well, until the strikeouts kick up, it's hard to believe it. Immediately has like a 7 or 8 strikeout game. Okay, so now that looks okay. But at this point, it's no longer I can just keep telling you, oh, it'll all be fine. They're still scoring no runs. And now one of the guys I told you they needed to get back and hitting, Vinny, is hitting 350 this month. And it's not solving the offensive problems because it happened to coincide with a 10-day stretch of some quieter Bobby. And Salvi's still not hitting and not getting anything out of the bottom part of the order again, where some of those guys are slightly productive, but not the run-producing guys. And so it's hard not to be not just frustrated, incredibly frustrated to the lineup that is, if there's a year where you're going to make a trade early to do something about offense, I'm not sure why this isn't the one.
This would be it, but
that's why it's Rave. That's why it's Lofton. They're trying anything.
Yeah, at this point, we've talked about the off-season issue. Clearly, right, a miscalculation. They didn't get done what they needed to at the corner outfield spots like that. At this point now, it's about what can they do to fix that. I think we all recognize opening day, Melendez and Renfroe did not pan out. No kidding. Neither one is with the big league club. One's not going to be with the organization here very soon. And talking about Hunter Renfroe, obviously, with him being designated for assignment. But now you're like, okay, well, how do you fix that? What can be done? And I think they're doing minor moves right now that can actually be accomplished. We'll see if they can help them at all. John Rave he's played one game, so we're not going to know for a bit, okay?
No,
You know what I mean? It's one game.
Good for him. Congratulations on making your major league debut.
Absolutely. And Nick Lofton obviously actually did help them win a baseball game over the weekend and was really impressive in his first game of 2025. But for them, we know that the outside organizational help is likely still a month or more away. That's just the reality of the situation. Can they stay afloat till then? Can they have improved offense till that point in time? You know, where I think in terms of being overly critical of that for the offense, that's going to be if we get a month plus from now when it's obvious that trade opportunities exist and if they don't take a decent swing towards acquiring a bat. If they don't do that, then everybody, I think, at that point in time has a right to be very, very upset. Right now, if your argument is, well, they got to get better on offense, I think we unfortunately have to wait a month from it if you're saying they got to go get somebody. If it's just, hey, you're frustrated that Salvi's not hitting, I'm right there with you. He has not been good this season. You mentioned, Cody, you went through a couple names. Michael Massey obviously has been very disappointing so far here in 2025. It's an obvious observation from everybody. But it's either going to be that they go in a month plus from now and acquire a bat, that Cags eventually gets called up, maybe sooner rather than later. The way things are trending, we'll see. We'll talk about him in just a bit. Otherwise, this offense is not going to improve. Like that, it's very clear that they have to get outside help.
Yes.
Very clear. It's just you can't do it on May 27th. Nobody's trading anybody.
So can you? Then the question becomes: can you stay afloat long enough with your pitching in order to, survive? I guess. Long enough in order to make it work. And so like that part of it is, it just creates an issue. Like it creates an issue of how long can you do this? And more importantly, it starts to create this kind of, I wonder, and I always wonder this with any team. I think we pretend like it's not the case. Can you keep the team on the same side? Because what you have to avoid at this point is a division. And I'm not saying they're there yet. I don't think they're there yet. I don't think that that's occurred. I think the team is still unified. Otherwise, they would be a non-winning team, in my opinion, if they weren't unified against this. But at some point, like if you're on the pitching staff, coach, you're like, hey, want to chip in? As of right now, they're in a playoff spot. A third of the way through the season, they're on pace for 86, 87 wins, whatever it is. They're no different than they were last year from a record standpoint by the end of the season. But it is important, I think we'll talk about this more later in the week, to point out that last year the Royals team front ran, and they were 10, 15 games above 500 pretty consistently the entire year and then stabilized to be the 500 baseball team, not the way they're doing it now. And so, look, the offense at this point, I don't have any way to sugarcoat it. It is, by all accounts, the worst offense in baseball. They possess a limited amount of power. They have not hit well with runners in scoring position. They do not have enough guys getting on base, and several of their major contributors have had either slow starts to the season or just have never got their season started. And because of that, it is, a little bit of a challenge, obviously, to consistently see it go that way.
Yeah, I think there's only two internal moves left they can make that might help the offense.
One is a guy that's obvious, and we can talk about that in a
I think there's only two internal moves they can make to help the offense. The rest is still hoping that some of these guys that have a career history of hitting well, Salvador Perez, you'd make the trade, which I think we're still a month away. And obviously the two internal options, one is Jack Caglianone. We're going to get to him in a bit. And the other would be maybe Cam Devaney at some point in time if Michael Massey doesn't get going here very, very quickly.
And they're just doing those as one at a time. Okay, Kevin, you're not hitting. Welcome, Rave. A couple of weeks before, they're doing them as a slow trickle because no team in the history of baseball has ever just taken three guys hitting well in AAA, plugged them into the major league lineup and said, you're our big leaguers now, not those other guys. And so you tend to do these things as a slow trickle, and you give more time for more players to come around and start contributing. But as you pointed out, that just the runs per game right now, it's so low right now. It's just kind of going to be a problem at some point.
6.6 runs per game.
You can't ignore. I know coming up in 20 minutes, we will talk individually as a standalone topic all on his own Jack Caglianone. Despite one caller's protest in Josh Vernier's postgame show this weekend, that this show talks too much Jack Caglianone.
I got a text from our old friend who used to work at this station, Henry Lake. You guys know Henry. I got a text. Let me pull it up here. I got a text from him on Saturday. And he, I guess, was listening to his guy Vern. And obviously the Royals were playing the Twins. And so, he was getting ready for his coverage of the Minnesota Timberwolves conference finals game. He sends me a text. He said, man, LMAO, listening to Vern, they are ticked off. He said something else.
Sure.
Dude says, everybody needs to keep that Jack kid's name out of their mouth. Those guys from 10 to 2, that's all they talk about. This was also before,
his last weekend.
This was before he hit 2 home runs in one day and had 5. So it is funny. Like, I think if anything,
he's on MLB Network right now.
He is. Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Look,
I just looked up at the TV and he was on it. That's not. I had nothing to do with that.
I think we've actually been very measured with how we've discussed Caglianone. You and I, the opening day, there were people in this building on this station that wanted him on the big league roster, and you and I were like, hey. So while we're excited, while we did our trip to Springfield, while I'm going to Omaha this weekend to watch him along with Dusty, like, that's all true. You and I think, have actually been pretty reasoned with our level.
Yeah.
But if you don't expect people to talk about the number one prospect in the Royals organization, the hottest prospect in all of baseball right now, that just hit 5 home runs in his first week in AAA, then I don't know what you want us to ignore it? So anyway, we are going to talk Cags in about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. Excited to talk about what he did this weekend. It was obviously a pretty good start in AAA for him. But I want to get back to a conversation that we had last week, and I only feel honestly emboldened by my stance last week after what Greg Sankey had to say yesterday. Greg Sankey has clearly become, I think, Gold, the target. He's the SEC commissioner. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just clarify this stat. I think I said it wrong. So in games they played, not the Royals aren't scoring 6 runs per game.
Yeah.
In games that they play in, it's 6 runs. That makes sense.
As in, like, the total runs scored for both teams is 6.59 runs.
Yes.
That includes the Royals doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Holding teams as well.
Yeah.
Greg Sankey, who's the SEC commissioner, and clearly is in charge of that conference, not all of college football, I think he could pretty clearly feel like he's the target. And so what he spent his time doing this weekend was taking pop shots at the ACC and the Big 12 for complaining that they want the world in these future college football playoff negotiations. To the point that I would say, borderline threatening to say, hey, everyone keeps asking me what the hell we even need the NCAA for at all. As in, we'll just go it alone. This goes back to the same thing. I think they're way overplaying their hand, Gold. And what I don't think the SEC understands is that you cannot exist in college football as a standalone conference of just 20 teams for multiple reasons. One, you cannot run anything like the NCAA tournament that will get the attention of the NCAA tournament, so you've just punted on basketball. Bye. You've just given up on that. And I know that's not the big cash cow, so maybe you're fine with it. Two, I think you eliminate a huge chunk of fans who watch SEC football because it's some of the best football in the land. When you take their teams away from it, no longer do Iowa State fans care what Alabama is doing, and now you've eliminated that portion of the progress. Not to even mention some of the stuff I was reading about this weekend that creates the entire thing. Right now, you're not in the crosshairs of the federal government. That's all coming for how they're paying players. The second you become a standalone thing, antitrust stuff comes into the mix, and now you got to combat that too. And the government, truthfully, is not going to want to watch the NCAA, a large institution, get dismantled because the SEC kind of got pompous this weekend and said we can go it alone. They got to think about the health of the sport. I know his job is to make the SEC the best. Yeah. But part of that is like the health of college football.
I think part of his job should be, though, Cody, to look out for what's best for the sport, because when you have the power, which Greg Sankey is probably, him and Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, they are in charge of the sport basically based on how the current thing is situated. It's part of his job, I think, or his obligation to college football to make sure what's best for the sport is actually lectured on by him. But we know that in the revenue and all that other stuff, it is all about what's good for me and my conference and my teams, and forget everybody else. That's why Greg Sankey's comments shouldn't surprise you, but it doesn't mean that they're incorrect.
Yeah, look, he's not going to be around by the time the potential, what you're discussing, Cody, the potential like true separation of the Big Ten and the SEC, like from an actual separation. We already know there is a separation. It already exists. You're talking about like a true different championship tournament.
We're a different
playoff.
conference.
Yeah.
We don't even exist in the NCAA. We're doing our own thing.
Like the thought
separate
of
from
the Big Ten and the SEC having their own national championship playoff and then the rest. And some would argue we already are kind of starting to see that. But I think the weird thing about the comments from Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, is he is doing all these things that are continuing to leverage the SEC and the Big Ten, which I do think is part of his job. But he also doesn't want any of the bad headlines. Well, that's how this works, buddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want the blowback and any of the criticism for doing things that are clearly hurting the Big 12, the ACC, the Group of Five, obviously.
He doesn't want to be criticized. He wants them to just take it and shut up.
Right.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, that
They're
doesn't
not
work that
going to
way.
do that. They're not going to just get robbed and then be like, thanks for robbing me.
Yeah, that's just not how this whole thing works. It's just, unfortunately, with every potential adjustment to the college football playoff, every adjustment is meant to benefit the SEC and the Big Ten. And that's never, like, guys, that's never changing. There's never going to be some adjustment that says, oh, you know what? That's really good for the Big 12. That's like, you can say, well, college football playoff is good for them. No, because when they go to 14 here in 2026 and eventually 16
it's going to be 14 or 16. They don't know yet.
Whatever it's going to be, it's not like they're going to now have 5 Big 12 teams. And no, there's going to be 6 SEC teams that get in, or 7 SEC teams that get in, / Big 10.
The thing that I think is the worst part about this is he went on, his whole diatribe. He said that in the current format, it's, quote, clear that not losing is more important than playing quality opponents, which I think it's
back to he doesn't think wins should matter.
Well, and again, I think he's telling on himself and his conference at this point, because it's hard to say boo-hoo when you stole the best teams from other conferences and then you want to complain when somebody outside of your conference does well. The reason, like Alabama, let's be honest, if they didn't have all the teams that they had in there and hadn't expanded all that other stuff, maybe Alabama doesn't go 9-3. And maybe you actually have a case of them being in the playoff because the conference isn't as quote-unquote difficult. I understand the quality of opponents being important, but you also complaining about teams, you complaining that not losing is more important than quality opponents isn't what we saw last season, because if Alabama doesn't go 9-3, if Alabama just wins another game, if they don't lose to Oklahoma, who sucked last year, then they're in the college football playoff. If Ole Miss doesn't lose to Kentucky, who stunk last year, then Ole Miss is in the playoff and other teams are not. I just don't get how you can complain and say boo-hoo when you're the reason why this is all happening in the first place.
Tearing down this whole system for a 9-3 Alabama team. What the hell?
Yeah, that also
You're going to burn this whole thing down for one mediocre Alabama squad?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with both of you. I just think this weekend it's more that he doesn't like that he's being painted as like the bad guy. Well, that's
the bad guy.
For everybody else that's not in the SEC and the Big Ten. That's what you are.
And when you run the show, you're going to get the blame when something goes wrong.
And deep down, I still think both things can be true. We can say he's the bad guy in this, if you will, but he is doing his job. Like, has he propped up and made more money for SEC schools? Has he enhanced the league and all that? He's done all of that. It sucks that it's hurt, I think, the college sports fan, and certainly if you're a fan of the Big 12 or ACC and in these other non-conferences compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. But he is doing his job. It's just, it sucks.
I think this is a perfect example of why you shouldn't have ADs and commissioners making decisions that are best for the sport, because we already know that they have that bias. Like Greg Sankey being the most powerful man in college football is a problem, because
who should be in charge? Like, somebody's got to make who should it be, though?
Well, no one's going to just separate and put someone in the NCAA in charge.
That's why everybody's calling for a commission or a commissioner to be an overarching body that is in charge of everything. You shouldn't have ADs making decisions. You shouldn't have boosters making decisions. But I also think, like, Gold, you're right in the fact that Greg Sankey does what's best for the SEC and making the money. I think, though, it blinds teams from actually doing what's best for them. Like I was talking to Cody about this in the bullpen. Missouri makes more money.
Yes.
Vanderbilt makes more money. Auburn makes more money. Arkansas makes more money.
No doubt.
But they are not in a. But if the AD for that school, for any of those schools, says, we really care about winning trophies and the championships that we have, I call BS. You care about making more money. That's why you let Texas and Oklahoma come in with no problem, and teams that are better than you
but
get
in order to
invited
be,
in where you're never going to win. And you saying we care more about trophies is a load of BS because you don't. You care more about money than you do actually winning. Otherwise, Missouri would still be in the Big 12 because they'd have a better chance of winning in the Big 12.
Right, but now that the dust has settled and it's well over 10 years since Missouri has left, they made the right call because part of winning championships, you also have to be able to compete at, you know what I mean? Like
you have to be able to be in the playoff.
Yeah, you have to be in the right spot to have a shot
but Missouri's
at
in
it.
the SEC and still isn't making the playoffs.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you said it, not me. Like, I'm with you. Like, there's part of me that obviously recognizes that. I would say, though, given the constant worry, if you're in a Big 12 school still, if you're KU or K-State, about what the future of your program looks like and athletic department looks like, because you don't know if your conference exists and are you going to be at the dinner, are you still going to have a seat at the table and all that. No, Missouri, while you can say they're not competing for championships, they are still in a much better position now because they left. They just are.
Currently,
so, like,
are they actually
yes.
right now?
Yeah, wait.
Yes.
Because
They're in the best conference in America.
They weren't competing for national titles before, but now they make a lot of money in or not.
Look, I went to KU, and so there's a lot of people, like, and trust me, like,
they're in a way better spot.
I still think if
they're
none
in a better
of
spot than Kansas.
if none of those schools would have left to begin with, none of this would have happened. But now that we all know that you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, Missouri is absolutely in a better spot now. They're not worrying about, are they going to be in a conference still in 7 years? That matters. That's first and foremost, that is the number one priority, I think, if you're an athletic director at the time, is, are we in a stable conference that we can compete facility-wise, financially, and all this? And in order to do that, you have to be, especially in the new NIL era, you have to be in one of these big boy conferences.
But are they actually? This is where I think we differ just a little bit. In the future, I agree with you. Like long term, Missouri is in a much better spot, obviously. But currently, as we sit, like for this upcoming football season, Kansas State has the best chance. Last year,
yeah, but
last year was the same. This year's the same.
Else.
Next year's probably the same. Kansas State has a better chance to make the playoff than Kansas or Missouri does.
For this 1 year,
I don't
disagree.
But last year was the same thing as well.
No, last year going in Missouri had a great shot at getting. They had one of the easiest schedules in.
None of them made it for what it's worth, so it didn't really matter. But
Missouri isn't relying. Kansas State can win its conference and be in. Missouri is not winning in.
But we don't know in five. We don't know for the long haul. Can they do that? You're pointing out this particular season. I am with you that Kansas State has a better chance to make the college football playoff than Missouri.
Even last year, I thought the same thing because Missouri had the easier schedule, but Missouri still banked on.
The reason why they don't long term though, Drew, is like the Big 12 potentially doesn't exist in 5 years. I hope that's not the case, but like there's a chance it doesn't exist. I know the SEC with Missouri in it exists. They're at least going to have a seat at the table no matter what happens.
This kind of goes back to the NCAA tournament part of complaints, which I don't understand. Is like, so every time the fourth or fifth school out of the SEC doesn't make the college football playoff, you're going to cry and have a fit and ask for a participation trophy. Our team got left out. And they probably looked at Ohio State winning it all and then got even more mad. That's the problem, is because you didn't have to be. You could have been the third best team record-wise in the Big Ten or the SEC and go through a run through the championship and still win it. And so Alabama, DeBoer was talking this morning and said, I'd like to see what the other teams who got in did with our schedule. Like, just win more games. I don't understand why college football is the only sport that is against winning games, meaning more than anything else. Just simply winning games.
Again,
that's it. Winning more games.
And that goes back to the SEC telling on itself where you're mad about going 9-3, but you're the ones who are making it more difficult on your teams to make it.
But they don't care because they got a better team. They're just going to put more teams in.
Yeah,
anyway.
It wouldn't be as hard for Alabama if they didn't have to play Texas and Georgia and all these other teams. It would be a lot easier if you just didn't have the best schools from the Big 12 come over into your conference and then say, here you go, good luck to everybody, and go from there.
All right, coming up next, I think Drew's going to be very happy with when he checks Twitter in a second. I think he'll be very thrilled. But we'll also talk about Jack Caglianone and where he stands after 1 week in AAA.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
As men get older, our bodies change. We all know that. and often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find that your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make the change for good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Get ready for summer's heat with a $69 AC tune-up from Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. Our expert technicians will make sure your system is working at peak efficiency to help you save money on energy costs. At Hamilton, we know how important your family's comfort is. Our exceptional service guarantee, plus over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 5-star reviews, are great reasons to trust Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. Visit callhamilton.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
It's Taco Tuesday time, Kansas City, and Summit Grill is bringing the flavor. Every Tuesday from 3 p.m. to close, hit the bar or lounge for our legendary $2.50 tacos and $5 house margaritas made with Jose Cuervo Tradicional Silver. Come see us at one of our 3 convenient Summit Grill locations, Waldo, Lee Summit, and Gladstone. Join us for steak, street tacos, cold drinks, and your favorite neighborhood vibe. Taco Tuesday never looked or tasted so good. Summit Grill, proud taco partner of the Cody and Gold Show on 96.5 The Fan.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Empower. Jen has ordered a decadent seafood tower, king crab legs, lobster tails, and a waterfall of caviar. Pricey? You bet. But Jen worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy and planned for splurges like these. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Ooh, champagne. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. OMG, those shrimps are really jumbo.
Attention retirement savers. A top U.S. bank predicts a 2025 recession as tariffs rattle markets. According to reports, 2025 recession risk just increased significantly. That's why thousands of hardworking Americans are turning to award-winning precious metals company, Goldco. Goldco is offering you a free 2025 gold and silver kit. Plus, you can get an unlimited instant match and bonus silver for qualified accounts. Call 855-969-GOLD. Find out how you can help diversify your savings. Tax and penalty free today. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. calling Grandma for her recipe? No-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m.? Big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas? The ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 with select plans. Straight Talk. Real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 7/20/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation of single line Gold Unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Brought to you by Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Visit ClimateControlKC.com. Climate Control has been serving KC homeowners for over 35 years and know how to get your cooling system ready to handle the scorching hot summer. Schedule your AC system tune-up for just $59. Don't wait. Visit ClimateControlKC.com today. Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
We'll get to Jack Caglianone in just a second, but I do want to pass along some news that is now breaking out of Jefferson City. Governor Mike Keogh has officially announced that a special session will take place beginning next Monday in Jefferson City. This will, of course, deal with, from a sports angle, the Chiefs-Royals Stadium bill. There's also other very important things they're going to discuss, but for our sake, the headline there is Chiefs-Royals Stadium bill is going to be brought to the legislative body again for a special session taking place June 2nd, I think, till the 13th. So Monday is the 2nd. I believe it'll go to the 13th. But that was expected. He had indicated that a week or so ago. But once again, it's all shaping up for, by the middle of June, we're going to have a really good idea, I think, on what the potential path is going to look like for one, if not both of the teams. We all know the Star Bonds in Kansas expire at the end of June, and then now Missouri is going to have one more chance to get the stadium bill done. We'll see if it happens starting next week.
That went over the scoreboard.
That sounded good.
Another jack for Jack.
That's a good one. Jack Watch. As you know, we've been paying very close attention to what Jack Caglianone has been doing in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. And boy, did he have a weekend. He has now spent 5 games in AAA, 346 average, 357 on base, 1280 OPS, 5 homers, 10 RBI. He leads all of the minor leagues with 53 RBI overall, including a double Jack Day
this week. And now looking for a 4th. Caglianone has done it again. The kid's going to be just fine. Number 1 pick for the Royals in their draft this past year. Number 1 prospect. High hopes and for good reason. He has put on a show here in Daybreak this week. Caglianone flies this to right on a laser. Going back is Cavadas, and it's gone. He's homered for a 5th time this week.
Okay, so pretty good weekend
That's not
for Jack
the storm
Caglianone.
chase. That's not Nicholas.
No, I don't know.
The voice, by the way, is
Oh, Jack.
It
sounds old-timey baseball.
Yeah.
Like he's hitting 2 wood sticks together.
It totally sounds like,
You guys know what I'm talking about? Those 2 mini bats? So I could do it for
his
them.
voice. It had like a little whine.
I'm a baseball old-timer.
Yeah.
And he's knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. That's exactly what it sounded like. Anyway, no, I mean, he could not have had a better week, obviously, in AAA. It was incredible to see. It almost got to be laughable by the time he hit that home run on I guess would have been Sunday.
Yes.
I mean, just laughable because he is destroying the AAA level one weekend. We know the reason why he got called up from AA. JJ Piccolo told us, well, simply AA wasn't good enough for him. Now, it's 1 week. All right. And in fact, I think last week when he got called up, I gave a very specific hypothetical.
You said even if he hits
I said
5 homers.
Even if he hits like 5 or 6 homers in a week, he's not getting called up. Well, he did that very thing. I'll admit this, though. If he does that again this week, which is a tall task, but with him, anything's possible.
You never know.
If he hits another 4 or 5 home runs this week when they're in Omaha, and it's at a ballpark that could allow him to do that, by the way, then next Monday, I will be right there with all of you saying, call him up. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not telling you, how dare you? I'm going to be ticked off if they call him up. I'm just saying, if all they needed to see was 1 week in AAA against the same team all week, by the way, also out in Salt Lake City,
at elevation.
Then they would have not even sent him to AAA. He'd already be in the big leagues. Like, it wasn't like, man, we know we need him really to see if he can handle 1 week in AAA against Salt Lake. No, it's a much longer process. But I'll admit, he is forcing their hand. If he does this again for another week, then I think that the timeline of July gets moved up way earlier, as in it could happen in June.
I have been reasoned, fair, patient, excited, right? No doubt about that. Definitely excited. All of those things, in my opinion, as it relates to Jack Caglianone. I'm out. I've seen enough. He can come to the big leagues now. No more patience for me. I'm done. I'm not mad, right? Like we're the inverse. I'm not upset. I'm not like, hey, what the hell? Call his ass up. What are we all wasting our time for? I'm not like all the way, but like, yeah, go ahead and call him up. I've seen enough. It took me a second because you're right. I think generally speaking, your stance is 100% the normal way these teams think and operate and all this other stuff. What he did the last 30 games at AA immediately snapped into AAA. And I want to point out that a couple of the guys he's faced, a couple of the guys he's homered off of are at one time big league pitchers, as in they pitched in the big leagues, including a guy who had not given up a hit to a left-hander at all this year, and career-wise has like a 160 batting average against lefties, and he took that guy out of the park. And so I've just seen enough. I'm good. I'm good. They can call him up tomorrow. I'm fine. It does not help, admittedly, that the Royals scored the third least amount of runs in baseball and hit the least home runs in baseball. Not helping me wanting to jump him up. Do I actually think they'll do it? I guess importantly, no. I do not think what I'm saying right now means that JJ's on the phone tonight being like, you know what? Call up our boy Jackie. We're good here. I just think he's going to wait it. I think he'll wait a little bit longer.
He's on the fastest track, considering when he got drafted, realistically, that you could be on. And what he's doing, though, is, I think, forcing that it could be even sooner. Like, there's a chance now that he gets called up before a year to the day that he was drafted. Like, before the season started, it was, all right, July, August, if things go really well. And it still is that, but now he has upped it to where if he keeps this up, it's going to be before July. That's the difference, depending on what he does this week or so. I'm just saying it's not that, like, deep down, like, you and I, like, it's not like I'm not sitting here saying, I need to see him do it more.
Oh,
no,
I did wear my CAC shirt.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, he had 5 home runs this weekend.
It is not that I'm sitting here saying, like, I personally need to see more. But I also understand the thought process that just because something happens over 5 days, you just don't completely scrap the entire plan. Yeah. And when you called him up to AAA, you didn't call him up because you played one team for the full week. You didn't say, because we want to see him handle that Salt Lake, whatever the hell they're called. Bees, sure. Is that what they're called? Salt Lake Bees. That sounds right. It flows, I guess. I think you're right.
I might just be making
They didn't need to see that for a week. That wasn't why. I think what he has a chance to do with his performance is bump that from being a month and a half or 2 month stint to less than 30-day stint. That's what he has a chance to do. I also think, while you're right, the fans' pressure is coming because the offense stinks right now on the big league level. But J.J. Picollo, he did say, essentially, though, the fact that the offense stinking might make it even a little more challenging, because then you're asking this guy to come up and jumpstart a struggling offense versus you'd like to call him up when an offense is already rolling.
The hardest part about this for us is we're trying to do what's best for the player. I mean, that's ultimately what this is. You want the player to be as prepared as he can when he comes to the major leagues. It's not fair to any player, whether it's Jack Caglianone or whoever. When a team maybe scuffling offensively, to try to put it on him and hope he's going to come save the day. The best way to break any player into the major leagues is to try to bring him up when the team's hot, offensively scoring some runs. That's not why he's not coming up right now. We just want him to face more advanced pitching in AAA, see how they game plan for him, how he adapts and makes adjustments, not just game to game, but at bat to at bat. It'll take, I don't want to put a timetable on it, but we want to see it for a little bit. I mean, this first week was great, but we certainly weren't saying when he went to AAA, have a good first week and bring him to Kansas City.
Yes, both things there I think are notable.
But you could also
hear a little bit. So
you can hear the voice changing a little bit on the, like, we wanted to see him for like a little bit, and a little bit not being a week, but it could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks.
I think if he
could be mid-June,
does anywhere remotely close to what he just did, And if he does that for another week or two, then I think he's going to be up instead of having to wait till the All-Star break or something like that. That's what he's doing.
If I'm out of town, I got to go to Texas in mid-June.
You might be out on his debut week,
Very
Cody.
disappointed if I miss Jack Caglianone's debut in this town. Damn it!
You're out
for dance comp,
like June 16th or whatever.
That'd be tough, man. That's a tough timeline. That's a tough week to miss, man. Where Jack and they start a home series during that time. You know, they love making major league debuts around home series.
Sorry, Ruby, dance trip is canceled. Got to go see Cags. Sorry, honey.
We're all gonna go watch Jack Caglianone play baseball.
Yeah.
No, I just I'm not even doing this for. I love sometimes for the effect of radio, right? Like I'm just saying. No, I genuinely believe it's good. He's good. I'm no longer. My whole thing was I also like the organization. Wanted to see how he handled AA. Didn't thought he didn't have enough games that were impressive in A and Arizona Fall League that I didn't need to see more. I thought the minor leagues was the right adjustment for him. I wanted to see how he's handled it. It's a joke. He's treating it like child's play. It's like when my kid throws me the wiffle ball in the backyard and I rip it over the fence. And so I've just personally seen enough. I've seen him off major league hitters. I've seen him go the other way. I've seen him be patient. His strikeout numbers are good. Everything suggests that he's going to be a good major league player at this point.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to be. I just, once again, if he would have gone 0 for 16 last week in Salt Lake City, would you? Or you, I say you.
No, I wouldn't have. Yeah, that would have made sense.
Would everybody have said, "Oh, he needs to stay down an extra couple months"? No. So I'm just trying not to overreact to one. We're all pumped for crying out loud. I'm driving up to Omaha this weekend to see him as well. Yeah. Trust me, this is not me saying I don't think he's going to be good or anything. That's not at all. I'm just saying we change everything based off of 6 games. I just don't think that's certainly that's not how the organization operates, and it's not how
I'm looking at it bigger, but I understand what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like if even this week, if this week,
called him up instead of rave if they were just going to call him up.
Sure, yeah, that too. But even the same thing applies to last week or this upcoming week. If he goes 0 for 16 with 7 strikeouts, I'm not telling you, well, he shouldn't be called up anymore at all. No. The overreaction to 1 week or not, but he is forcing the issue where if he does this for another 10 to 15 games, they're going to have to call him up because what the hell are you waiting for?
For the players who didn't skip the step, because we famously know Alex Gordon skipped that step. Eric Hosmer is really the best example. Eric Hosmer was a top 10 player in baseball. He was the number 1 hitting prospect in the entire Royals organization. He was their number 1 prospect. He was a potential future superstar coming through the Royals system. And he did it through high school, but he did the same thing he did. He came into a year where he was starting a fresh level. He got 26 games in AAA. Now, he started at AAA, 26 games, and then he was done. So they did the 30 games in AA for it. Now, he played 137 games between A and AA ball. So you'd have thought in a full year, he played a full year.
Yeah, I think what happened too, Cody, though, is the Rangers just called up a kid that only played a week in AAA, and so I think a lot of people are looking at that and saying, "See, it can happen."
Yeah.
That same kid, and I don't remember his name. That's why I keep saying it, but he's one of the top prospects for the Rangers, and they need some offense too. But he also played well over 100 games in the minors before that. That's the difference.
It's a limited sample size.
That's the difference.
You just count
I do think the other part. We can talk about this more later in the
Alejandro
show.
Osuna.
There you go. That's the player. Yes, and I believe you can look at the number. I think he played well over 100 games in the minors. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. Yes, he played a week in AAA and got called up, but he also had way more games that the organization looked at. Plus, each organization is going to operate differently. We can get into the Rookie of the Year stuff. I think the service time coming up in a couple weeks is interesting, and then also Rookie of the Year stuff, because if you're looking at trying to get the draft pick for him winning Rookie of the Year, well, he needs to, for that reason too, you need to call him up in the next week, because if you wait too long, he won't be eligible for Rookie of the Year next year anymore, and he'll be too late in the process to win it this year. And I understand. I'm not saying they should solely operate off of getting a draft pick. I'm just saying, if you want to consider, hey, we can call him up and we can be eligible maybe to get a pick because he can win Rookie of the Year, you better do that in the next week or two, because Jacob Wilson, the rookie for the A's, is already a minus 200 favorite. It already has played 350 in 70-something games, or 60-something games, I guess it is at this point in time. So you're in a big hole to try to come back and win that anyway. And if you wait another 3 weeks, then you probably have no chance of getting that draft pick as well. There's a couple different things and timelines coming up, I would say, between now and like June 12th, June 13th.
If you actually want to win that bet, sure. If the Royals want to get the draft pick,
I'm not even talking about for I'm not even saying like to me to place a bet. I'm talking about the Royals getting a draft pick.
Games? Now I can't remember.
If you play over, I think it's if you play over 60, you're not eligible for
they have to wait way too long to call him up, so it's not worth it. Alejandro Asuno, by the way, I did look it up. He is the perfect example. Same age. He's a high school kid, but same age. At the time, he played 57 games in Double-A last year when he got promoted from A-ball.
Mm-hmm.
He played 102 games in the minor leagues last
over
year.
150.
But 57 in Double-A last year. He started in Double-A this year, played 31 games, went up to Triple-A for 8 games, and then just called him up.
They also had a designated hitter broke his right hand for the Rangers, so an injury forced the hand. It's the same thing what we've talked about. If there would have been a key injury to one of the names we talked, that would have also potentially changed the outlook.
It would now, too. If for some reason there was an injury, Jack Caglianone will be the name that they call. But they're not trying to do that. And I understand JJ's argument, but like, it's threading such a perfect needle. And part of me thinks that teams overthink that. And this is probably just a personal philosophy versus what the team studied over all this. Like, do we honestly, if Jack Caglianone is destined to be a really, really good, great, all-star baseball player, is the fact that he would come up when the team's not hitting versus they are hitting, is that the difference? Is that what's going to stop him from realizing his full potential?
No, and in fairness to JJ, he said that's not why he's not up. He's just saying that's all. You're trying to find the ideal, and the ideal spot may never exist, but they're trying to find the ideal time to call him up. There's a ton. I'm just saying there's a ton of factors, not only his own performance, but I don't know. And this would be a question for JJ Picola the next time we have him on. How much does the rookie of the year aspect, and you're like, what? The reason why it's different now is because you can potentially get a draft pick. So
because the service time conversation is already dead. Once you got past 2 weeks.
But isn't there? Is it like Super 2 June 12th? So there's another layer to that. It's not there's a couple different deadlines.
The Super 2
how much is that playing a role in this as well? On top of that, would you like his debut to be at home? All these things. I'm not saying one is a huge chunk, but how many of them make up the piece of the pie to get that decision made on top of his own performance? So
especially when you're talking about a prospect of that nature. I'm sure they'd love to call him up for the first game of a 3-game home series on a Friday night. And then the place will be full of 35,000 people excited to watch Jack Caglianone play. And I certainly can't blame them for that. Tonight, the NBA, we got game 5, right? Between the Knicks and the Pacers.
It's 2-1,
no, game
right?
4.
Yeah, it's 2-1.
Yeah. Game 4 against Knicks Pacers tonight. Drew's team's got to sweat a little bit after letting one get away. Come on. They got the first 2 in New York. They got to be feeling pretty good.
They were up, though, double digits in the third.
They should feel good, but the way that they kind of exploded.
Who knew that Karl Anthony Towns was going to go nuclear in the fourth quarter? My goodness.
Cat has had a pretty good series.
Yeah, honestly. But he scored 20 points, didn't he, in the fourth quarter?
20 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And the Pacers didn't do much to stop it.
I'm going to be honest. Didn't see that coming, and yet here we are.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, this is not even a random question. There are 2 rule changes I saw pitched this weekend for the NBA that I want both of, but what I'm curious is which one you like more. Because what fascinated me about this is where I think the sports sometimes forget about the entertainment part of it. The first one, Gold, is what happened last night. Foul up 3. What people were saying is I should still be allowed to decline that foul. Pass. Don't want to take it. I want to have my choice to either get the 2 or take a 3 or do whatever, because this trading off of free throws for the last 9 seconds of a game is an incredibly sucky way to watch the end of a sport. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. It's not for anyone's purpose. It is the right strategy, and I definitely think you should foul up 3, seeing how it is within the rules. But it does not make for an entertaining product. And the other one was from former host here, not 96.5 The Fan, but you get it, the building, Nick Wright, who said the other thing he wants to implement is this, Gold, which I know you hate. When they start going for the review and the whirlybird, is that new rule starting next year that if you do that, it's binding. And if you don't have enough fouls, if you don't have enough challenges, it's a tech. And it's just like if you try to call a timeout and you don't have them. So of those 2 rules, are you interested in both? Neither? One more than the other?
I love the idea that, hey, if you don't have the challenge and if you're doing the little twirling of the finger thing, give them a technical or a foul. Just
it's
be
binding.
done with it.
You have to, if you do this, your team has to challenge it.
I haven't even, it's not even in the NBA that it bugs me as much, but I've told you for a couple of years now, in college basketball, specifically in the NCAA tournament when we're all really watching, it drives me crazy. Every single out of bounds, some college kid is twirling his finger. Bail me out, please. Bail me
there's no
out.
challenges
Please
in
bail
college.
me out. That's all it is. Oh, it's so ridiculous. So, no, I'm on board with this in the NBA. College doesn't have a challenge system, so I don't know what they can
still do it.
But they do it all the time. It drives me crazy. And I feel like now, like any high school kid that comes up to college and plays basketball, they just
Same
see.
as they do three goggles. Yeah, whoever does it,
they just
do
see
it.
the NBA players doing it. Now everybody is doing it. It's basically like, please bail me out. Somebody up there that's looking on these monitors.
Let's take a look at it when it's just one Reckley dude making $40
terrible.
for your U12
a lot
game.
of times
You're
they're
who are
wrong,
you
too.
hoping reviews this?
Yeah, like I'm seriously. You go to some 14-year-old AAU game. I'm sure there's kids twirling their finger as if there's a TV monitor there for them too.
No, I think both. I honestly think we should stop fouling up three. Why do you want something that makes your product terrible? It's not exciting. It is the worst way to watch the end of that game. That game was super exciting, Drew. Back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh, man, was so awesome. Fun. Are the Thunder, is this series going to get even? Are the Thunder essentially going to win this series, even though they're going up 3-1? Awesome game. And then the last 2 minutes of watching that basketball game is just watching people go down there and shoot with nobody guarding them. That's a terrible product.
It's part of it's not even like the up 3 thing as much of just it being, look, you're down by 4 and it's 30 seconds left in a game.
But specifically
you got to
the end
foul.
of the game. You know, if you want to leave it in the other parts because it's a strategy way of catching up, it's a sucky way to watch. I don't disagree. But the final possession of the game as the clock ticks away should not be someone trying to bank one off the rim or just the guy putting the final shot on before it's 0.2 seconds before he heaves it down the court. It's just an unexciting
You're saying in particular
play.
the foul up 3 thing,
Yeah,
really,
the foul
more
three.
than
Let him take
anything
the
else.
shot. Let him take the shot. Let him try to hit the shot.
I think it is a little bit cowardly a way to go out. You know, you don't trust your defense well enough to defend
I would definitely
a 3.
foul up 3. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I want to eliminate the rule.
Sir, I mean, it's a coaching preference because, for instance, I know, like in
there's some college coaches
Kelvin
that
Sampson does not foul
Bill
up
Self
3.
doesn't foul up 3 for the most part.
You're going
That's
to
been his
defend. I
standard.
trust you to defend.
Yep,
and not foul.
Yeah, that's definitely more of a coaching philosophy. But I'm all about the idea that
The
we
whole
got
challenge thing,
to
definitely.
stop with this twirling the finger and hoping that you get bailed out all the time.
When
by
did that
the
even?
official.
That thing is
Within the last 5 years. Yeah, within
Ever
the last
since the
3
challenges
years.
got
Probably
introduced,
3
I
years,
guess?
honestly.
Yeah, probably around that time. I did see, by the way, you were at the Bananas game this week. Was it
Yeah,
fun?
I wasn't planning on going. All of a sudden, one of my good friends, they had an extra ticket and said, hey, they're taking their kid. Why don't you see if you want to take one of your nephews? So I took one of my nephews. I was not planning on going, and it was awesome, man. It really was. You have kids.
They put on a show, man.
Your kids would love it, man. If next time they're around, if you're able to get tickets, or anybody listening, if you've got kids, it was nonstop action. Like there was never a dull moment. And so like the game starts at 7, but you want to get there in like an hour before them because they're already doing stuff before the game takes
Even
place.
starts.
So you want to get there.
Because the game can only be, it's got a time limit,
It's
right?
a time
Shot
limit.
clock.
You know, it's 2 hours. There's, the banana ball element to it is fun for kids because it also has, if a foul ball gets hit in the stands and a fan catches it, it counts as it out. Just fun stuff. It's great for kids. They got dancing, singing, great music throughout the entire game. The umpire's dancing as you get ready to call balls and strikes. He's dancing to the music. I mean, it's just nonstop entertainment. They also did some really cool stuff in terms of honoring some people in the local community mixed in throughout the game.
Cool.
The night I went, Jeremy Guthrie pitched. The night before, it was Haas and Gordo and Moose. But Guthrie pitched and was dancing on the mound, too, and stuff. Like, it was just you can see why they have become what they've become, the Savannah Bananas. And it was a sellout. It was awesome. It also ended up being a nice night weather-wise as well.
Got lucky. You might have gotten the only nice night of the weekend.
So anybody else that was there, I'm sure you can attest to it, and you can text in. But if you have kids and you're able to get tickets, I know it was very difficult to get tickets with the lottery system, and then the pricing got way out of control. I understand from the secondary market, but it was awesome, And so I think Cody, if you can, I'm sure your kids will love it, man.
No, I would. I mean, I'm not interested. It's become a pricey ticket.
Yeah, or you got to get in the lottery.
Or you got to get in the lottery and get your tickets that way because for sure it's like, it's a hot ticket to go. And for I think the reason you said, I saw a bunch of people out there this weekend. It seemed like, not just because they were sold out, but because it just seems like everyone was like, well, you know what? Kauffman Stadium, they've had a huge comeuppance. Like they were doing. They were just at the Legends a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. And now they're selling out Kauffman. They're selling out Raymond James Stadium, the Bucks football stadium. They're on this world tour. It's crazy what they've built, and you can see why. And they keep adding new things every single time as well and building.
Yeah, you got to keep adding the entertainment. You can't just roll out the stilts guy every year. You can, but you got to add other elements, change other things.
Yeah,
I've seen an interview with him just talking about He's like, he used to like play around with them when he was like a high schooler. And he's like, well, I could probably swing on stilts. They're like, are you sure? He's like, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, and this year, like, they have a different, their opponent, just like the Harlem Globetrotters, like their opponent was the firefighters. So they were able to tie in, honoring local firefighters. And then, like, they scored their first run, and they all run and grab their ladder, and they run out to left field and put a ladder up in the stands and climb the ladder into the stands. Like, just goofy, fun stuff. And what, if you have kids especially, you should go, but I think anybody would enjoy it as well.
Anybody catch a foul ball while you're there?
Oh, I think there were 3 or 4 in that game on Saturday night. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you actually really do want to bring a glove if you're somebody, you can get it out.
The job,
it has to be clean, so you can't like juggle the ball. It has to be a clean catch for it to count as an out.
Oh, can't juggle it, huh?
Yeah.
That's tough. Gotta be clean?
Gotta be a clean catch.
Okay. Then you do need what are the odds I'm going to make a clean catch with my bare hands?
Couple people did it, man. Couple people did it. All right. Up next, though, there is a familiar face coming back to Kauffman Stadium and pitching tonight against the Royals. And Aaron Rodgers kind of, sort of hinted about what he's going to do. We'll explain next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly, or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line, or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory's moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
The semifinals are here. That means all the show-stopping action is turning up a notch. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel's the best place to find all your favorite player props, and now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy is hitting that over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First on real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
If Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea was your best friend, it would be the kind of friend that starts an impromptu dance party in the supermarket aisle that turns into an all-day pool party rager at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea turns any day into a legendary adventure. It's smooth and refreshing real iced tea with just the right kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea
keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
This summer, Casey's has 89-cent fountain and frozen drinks. But if you don't have 89 cents, you could check your center console, or dig between your couch cushions, or ask Grandma for $1, or just use your credit card. We take those too. 89-cent frozen and fountain drinks at Casey's all summer long. Restrictions may apply. See store for details.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Empower. Jen has ordered a decadent seafood tower, king crab legs, lobster tails, and a waterfall of caviar. Pricey? You bet. But Jen worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy and planned for splurges like these. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Ooh, champagne. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. OMG, those shrimps are really jumbo.
Attention retirement savers. A top U.S. bank predicts a 2025 recession as tariffs rattle markets. According to reports, 2025 recession risk just increased significantly. That's why thousands of hardworking Americans are turning to award-winning precious metals company, Goldco. Goldco is offering you a free 2025 gold and silver kit. Plus, you can get an unlimited instant match and bonus silver for qualified accounts. Call 855-969-GOLD. Find out how you can help diversify your savings. Tax and penalty free today. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Kansas City, this is Michael Massey. Listen to the play-by-play all season long with Denny, Jake, Ryan, and Stu right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Just getting started on a Tuesday, fresh off a holiday weekend. Good to have you guys back with us, of course, on video as well. You can subscribe. YouTube makes it very easy. You don't miss any of the shows when we are live throughout the day on 96.5 The Fan. We'll get to trash of the day in about 18 minutes or so, where the U.S. stacks up compared to other countries in one particular category. I'll explain during the trash of the day. But tonight, out at Kauffman Stadium, a familiar face will be on the mound against the Royals. That, of course, is Brady Singer. I know he spoke to the media yesterday as he's in a Reds uniform now. We all know the trade with Jonathan India coming to Kansas City, Singer, and they're both friends and everything in their time at Florida, and now India and KC. And so when you look at that trade, I think it's very obvious that as fans, you say, okay, you swapped players. Who is paying off more? Would you regret it? Would you have made the same move? And I know at times people have been very frustrated with Jonathan India.
He's only hitting 227 this year.
And that's what it is.
Still getting on base.
But what's Brady Singer doing for Cincy?
Last I checked, he had an ERA over 5. So I would guess something in that range.
4.88 ERA.
Had trouble with his command over the last month or so.
4.88 ERA. I think it's interesting because this one's a tougher answer because it's not like the Royals starting pitching has suffered since losing Brady Singer. Chris Bubich has been incredible.
It's actually been better.
It has, as a staff.
And
yeah.
not his fault.
No,
but
for sure. They have
just
not missed a beat pitching-wise since losing Singer. In exchange, they got someone that was supposed to help them offensively, and he obviously hasn't done exactly what you were hoping of. I mean, he's not top 5 in walks like he was a year ago. You mentioned, I think, last week that he's a little off the pace on his on-base percentage. His batting average is a little off the pace.
But he's not so far below that it's like he's a completely different player.
No, 15 home runs a year ago, I think it was. He's only got 1 or 2 so far this year. So he's just a tick or two below. And then defensively is where some of the frustrations have really come in, I think, for him. But knowing what the pitching staff is, no, I would still make the trade again, Cody. I really would, because I have a pitching staff that is still performing at the level they are. If Chris Bubich would have been bad and Lorenzen would have struggled as well, then I'd be saying, well, you lost Brady Singer and now your pitching staff has gone to you-know-what. But it hasn't. So their pitching staff has gotten better, and you still got a player that has a chance to help you with over 100 games to go in the season.
Yeah, I think that's it's an interesting question, I think, because it's like, can I just win every game 2-1? I don't know how many times you've looked up at the Royal scoreboard this year. It feels like every game.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, if I miss any part of the game, normally I'm watching I catch most of the games. But let's say, I missed a little bit. Where are we at here? All right, let's catch back up. And I'm like, it's 1-1 in the 6th. Every game, it's 1-1 in the 6th. And so pitching is not what their problems was. And in retrospect, considering how much their offense has struggled, I don't want to imagine a world where I don't even have a guy getting on base at a 325 clip. I'm not saying that that's enough. Jonathan India has not provided enough, but you see why the risk was worth it. A couple years control. We were thinking about a guy who got on base at a 350 range in his career. That was a risk worth taking, and a risk I would still take if you forced me. If you just said, hey, this weekend, you can just reverse it, and Brady can just stay the rest of the time, and India can go, I wouldn't reverse it. I would just hold the fort, hope that Jonathan India gets those 0.25 up so he's at his career on-base percentage, 0.25 up so he's at his career batting average, and I get what I get. What I didn't realize about the defense was this is probably just who he was as a defender a good chunk of the time, Gold, and I didn't know it because he wasn't a player that I watched play the entire time. And I think he's a more limited defensive player than I realized. But also with all the changes they made recently, this is probably their best defensive lineup all year. With Lofton and Rave and Isbell and Bobby and Vinny, this is their best defensive lineup at any point. They can absorb Jonathan India better, I think, than in the earlier parts where they were losing it in Renfroe, or they were losing it in some of these other positions where they were playing a little more out of spot.
Yeah, the thought tonight with Jonathan India leading off, a lot of people are saying, people feel like there's one of two things is happening tonight. Either Brady Singer striking him out 3 or 4 times, or Jonathan India is hitting a home run off of Brady Singer. There's no in between here. One of the extremes is happening tonight.
It's such a sick way that thing went down. Because as a reminder, if you guys didn't know the backstory, as you mentioned, they played college together. But according to Brady Singer himself and Jonathan India himself, Brady Singer spent years telling this organization to trade for Jonathan India. Come on, trade for him. He's our guy. We can do this. He's a winner. I know that man. He will play well for us. Get Jonathan India here. And they eventually did what Brady Singer asked for, and they traded for Jonathan India. They just traded him. They traded the guy who was asking them.
They needed offensive help. They knew they had good pitching
for him. Yeah. It's just kind of like a weird story. And it speaks to sports a little bit, right? Because you got to be used to the idea of changing cities, changing teams, finding a new avenue, all this stuff. But it's just kind of like a funky mix. So it'll be interesting to see Brady Singer. And I like when the teams do the little toss in freebie, like, oh, look, here's our video tribute.
I'm sure that'll happen tonight.
They already did it.
Why wouldn't they do it tonight, though?
They might do it tonight, too. I don't know. Or he'll give the little hat tip as he's coming off.
Or maybe they wanted. I mean, I would do it tonight.
I think you do it on a night where he's not actually carving up. Like maybe carving up your team or pitching against your team. You do it on the off the day he's not there.
Yesterday looked like a miserable day to be out at Kauffman Stadium.
Man, what a tough day that would have been to have the crown seats. You get the good seats.
I mean, you can go under and just eat and drink all day, I guess. But you can't sit out there and enjoy and have people bringing you food the same way.
Yeah, and you don't get to sit 5 feet from the action. From From the 816. I don't even know if that's true. India's statistically the worst defender in baseball. Is that right?
By which metric? I know there's also somewhat subjective, but are you basing off of which metric are you basing that off of? He hasn't been good though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
I just don't know whoever texted in, just which metric are you looking at?
I do think that's part of the reason that Michael Massey has been kind of not flying under the radar, because I think he's the guy struggling the most who is still in the everyday lineup for the guys that have already, like MJ or Kevin Biggio or Hunter Renfroe, that they've already kind of made decisions on. My guess is that part of the reason is because Michael Massey's a way better defender. He's a good defensive player. And the whole thing comes down, like, you could accept that Michael Massey's having a bad offensive year because he's a really good defender if the rest of the offense was scoring. I know he would tell you that he's still not hitting well enough for what he expects out of him. There's no doubt about that. Like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat that or anything else, but it's just, man, it's still, he's not the biggest problem. It's the general setup of the offense that's the bigger issue.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we will get to the trash of the day. But over the weekend, there was maybe a little bit of a hint dropped by Aaron Rodgers about what he's going to do. So I guess he was in Austin, Texas. He was doing a couple interviews last week. Okay. But he was also attending an event hosted by a friend of his, a rapper called Mike Stud. Anybody ever heard this guy? Anybody? Bueller? I don't know. Mike Stud. All right. He was at an event with him. Okay. He was asked whether he would ever consider playing for the Chicago Bears. And the audio stinks. That's why I'm not going to play it for you. Like, it's just bad quality. But Rodgers quickly said no. But then he said, quote, I believe there is a team that might play in Chicago this year on a road trip. I don't know. Not sure. So everybody's like, oh, my gosh, here we go.
Everybody knows the best rappers come out of Duke, by the way.
so is that where Mike Stud?
That's where he went to college. He was a baseball player. Get out of here.
Mike Stud. So anyway, the Saints play on the road in Chicago this year, and so do the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, of course, everybody said, oh, was this a hint? He's talking about two teams that need quarterbacks, two teams that he could play with. Are we closer? I don't know. We're 100 days or so away from the NFL season. OTAs are underway today in Pittsburgh and most teams in the NFL. I still just think it's wild that the Steelers are willing to just kind of wait and wait. They obviously believe he's going to sign for them, but if not, they'll either go with Mason Rudolph or trade for Kirk Cousins. Those are their options right now. Either continue to wait till about June or July, late June, early July, closer to training camp, that Aaron Rodgers will decide to play for you, because he hasn't signed a contract yet, or you'll check in on Kirk Cousins down in Atlanta, or you're going to roll out Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. I mean, deep down, we've gone over this enough that they should reset.
Yeah.
And they should bottom out and get a draft pick for next year and all that kind of stuff. That's just not how Mike Tomlin operates. So my guess is they will go with one of these veterans in addition to what they already have in the QB room when it comes time to make that decision.
How? This is the part that I don't understand. Officially today, is 100 days from the start of the NFL season. So we're not that far away, Gold, from the beginning of the NFL year. 100 days. That's it. To get your offense in place, to get your quarterback up to speed, to get him along with your weapons, all the normal stuff. How, as an organization that has done business and operated as well as you have for as long as you have, okay with letting a quarterback 100 days before the season not even pick up the phone and tell you he's for sure coming, man? Instead, he's dropping cryptic nonsense to 10-year-olds with his Duke University rapper buddy. You can't.
Who I guess was a really good college baseball player. If he had not got hurt, people are saying he would have been in the majors. He's best friends with Marcus Stroman, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
So he was a hell of a baseball player. But now he's a rapper. And now he's good friends with Aaron Rodgers.
Mike Stud.
Jeez.
Okay. Sure. But, they're too good of an organization for too long, in my opinion, to let them say, how did you get down this bad? How did you do this? And I guess the other thing comes into this is if this fails with Rodgers, this is the thing that's going to kill Tomlin. If he hangs his hat on this, if he's one of the people who's fighting for this, pushing for this, he's the guy that he's cool with letting Aaron Rodgers hold them all hostage. If this one goes south, if this is finally the losing season, not even the random bad playoff season they've just been going through every year.
Well, they haven't won a playoff game since they beat the Chiefs or whatever.
If this is finally the 7-10 year, then he might finally be on his ass. This might be it for Tomlin.
Well,
I can't believe you're
I
going to
don't
risk
think
your
that would be the
whole
worst
career on Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think that'd be the worst thing for everybody involved, though. I really don't. Like, if that's what happened, it either results in you keeping him as your head coach and it fails miserably and you get a top 8 pick in the draft, or you have him be mediocre again and they say, all right, we're finally done. Mike Tomlin gets a head coaching job immediately somewhere else, fresh start, fresh regime. And then for a Steelers fan, then you kind of hopefully bottom out, honestly, for a year or so to get a top flight franchise quarterback or potentially one.
Who's going to be the king of offseason nonsense when he retires, by the way? Who's waiting to take the crown?
Nobody's topping what the last couple of years of headlines and everything. He's a very unique individual.
In terms of drama, I don't know if anybody's gonna.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody.
It's gonna be tough, man. He's created quite the storm a couple of times through. And then you get his biggest Jets moment was running out with that flag.
Yeah,
well,
that was brutal.
Immediately getting hurt.
Brutal. Yeah, that was brutal. That quickly to have your Achilles injury. I don't know. He was asked more about it. Aaron Rodgers was, and he says he's taking more time. Maybe he's dealing with some family stuff. He said so. Who knows, man? There's no way to predict or guess what is going on in his mind.
There's still a 20% chance he just decides he doesn't want to play football, right?
For sure.
I don't know what you guys would put it at, but there's at least a 20% chance he just decides. He just wakes up tomorrow, and then he's like,
No, that's always that's the risk they're taking with letting Aaron Rodgers kind of drag this thing out, because he might have told you he wants to play. He might have told you he's leaning that direction. But truly, we're joking, but we're also serious. He truly could walk out of a cave one day in June and decide not to play football anymore. Like that is a real scenario that could happen.
Not even the cave part is hyperbolic. That is actually part of the real scenario that could occur. He could go spelunking on ayahuasca for 48 hours and then say he saw Buddha and be like, that's it. He told me, Buddha told me I'm supposed to move to Tibet, and he never hear from him again. All of those things are very realistic possibilities.
Everything's on the table still.
Are we sure that this is actually, going back to the football side of things, are we sure it's actually going to be the end of Mike Tomlin, though? Like, is it smart?
He can't survive it forever, man.
I know, but is it smart for the Steelers to? Because I think part of you has to understand the fact that this man has somehow gotten these teams over the last few years to the playoffs. If you get him a top 15 quarterback, let alone top 10, what could be the difference? Where I don't know if the way the Steelers have run since their existence, technically, I don't know if one really bad season, I don't know what the worst season Cowher had, but if you go back and you look at, if he goes 6-11 and they stink, and they can get a top quarterback, I don't know if that's enough for the Steelers to say, you know what, it's worth firing Mike Tomlin over.
It might be one of those old mutually parting ways kind of thing. Yeah,
I think I'm
like
a firm
with the Patriots
believer,
in a way.
And I don't know if you are Gold or Drew is, but
Mike Tomlin's worst season was 8-8.
Do we know? Is that Cowers too?
No, he probably had a worse one than that. He took over the Steelers and they were struggling a little bit.
Because I wonder if that's the if he has one bad season, is that really enough when this man has done way more with way less?
But what I think you're forgetting about, and this is something I actually subscribe to a little bit in the NFL and just in general in sports, is sometimes it's better for both parties to change hands. So, for instance, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They fired what is one of the league's best coaches. He's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. Yeah. They won 2 Super Bowls since he left. The Chiefs have won more, but the Eagles have also continued to win. Yeah. Sometimes organizations need clean breaks, fresh starts. They got to get out of, and with Tomlin, there is no more of a going through the motions organization. We're both just here to be here. Roommate phase of their relationship before a couple gets a divorce situation. And in the NFL than that one. Yeah, it's not bad. No, they're not fighting every day, but it's not working.
Just to answer your question, Drew, Bill Cowher had 2 6-win seasons, 8-win seasons. But remember, he never got fired. Remember, he stepped away. His wife, I think, was battling. Unfortunately, had passed away, but it was dealing with medical stuff. So he never got fired.
It wasn't a 6-10 season that led him to retire.
No, it was his wife.
Yeah, I know,
but they were 8-8 that season.
When did he go 6-10 though? That's what I want to know.
Early or late, he did it multiple times.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is that Mike Tomlin's never done that. So to me, Bill Cowher wasn't fired after 6-10. Are we sure Mike Tomlin's going to get fired after 6-11 when the team knows that the roster stinks?
I'm with you. I don't think he would get fired.
I don't think he would either.
I think he would be in a situation where he'd be like, all right, it's just time for a fresh start somewhere else, kind of thing.
And I think he gets he gets 2 seasons. Let's say they go 6-11.
Yeah.
Somebody on the text line says Cal had to have a bad year to get Big Ben. I think that's true. If they do go 6-11 and they get a quarterback, I think he has 2 years. And if he doesn't get it done in 2 years, if they're still 8-8 or 9-8, then sorry, man, it's time for you to go.
I just think
we
Bill
didn't figure it
Belichick
out.
fired, anybody can get fired, even after one bad year.
Yeah.
And it took Bill a couple of bad years in a row. But, essentially, I'd argue the Steelers are in multiple bad years in a row, Drew. They haven't won a playoff game in, a decade.
Yeah, look, Mike Tomlin, he would be hired. We all agree, right? He'd be hired instantly by a team.
Yeah,
so Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach. But I do think, and I think Pittsburgh Steelers fans actually are in agreement with this now, but we have discussed that he's never had a losing season thing and all these playoff bursts. We have held that to way too high of a standard, acting for being mediocre. Again, he's a hell of a coach, so it's this weird dilemma because we would all hire him immediately. But also this notion of he all he does is win games. Yeah, they haven't won a playoff game though in 8 years. So at some point, being mediocre, where are you at? I'm not, obviously it's not Jeff Fisher 6-10, 7-9 seasons, 8-8 seasons, not at all. But I don't know, man.
If you were to ask, I think if you polled the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns, they would love Mike Tomlin to be gone. Thank the Lord he's out. Because I think they would be more than happy, all 3 of those teams, to see Mike Tomlin no longer be the coach.
They've perfected the spoiler role, no doubt. They've perfected playing spoiler. They'll get you randomly in Week 17 when they're
I think,
bad
would be
football
very
team.
Happy.
All right, let's get to it.
Trash of the day.
This comes from a study from the Global Web-Based English Corpus.
The what?
Okay.
I don't know.
Global Web-Based English Corpus, for those following at home. Okay.
So, the United States is number 1 in the world when it comes to swearing. They did this to better understand how people might employ naughty words in their written communication. The database spanned 20 countries, over 340,000 websites, contains more than 1.9 billion words. A grand total of 597 vulgarities were singled out, and after all the data was analyzed, it was learned that the United States sets the bar for dirtiest mouths, with Great Britain, Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand and Malaysia, followed by Ireland, trailing shortly behind.
Wow, number 1?
We're number 1 in swearing.
We're number 1.
In fairness, there's a whole lot more people in the States than in England.
I mean, they didn't say whether this was per capita or not. This might just be a total.
I would have said Great Britain and Ireland were pretty high on the list as well.
Might be per capita. They might have us beat in a just per person basis. I just want to say that I contributed in helping us get to this number 1 standpoint. I definitely have added to those numbers. Hell, at this point, my kids have added to those numbers. Not a ton, but they've definitely let a few fly.
And this one mainly scanned websites. So this was stuff on websites and I'm assuming social media. I don't know. So this was how they tracked it down was based off
on
of
websites
too. Yeah.
I try to watch it a little bit more there. I'm not saying I watch it a ton, but I try to watch it a little bit more there. Then I do the other ways. It kind of depends on the attitude or the moment.
Singapore and Malaysia. Interesting. Okay.
Should we learn some? What are the FCC rules on am I allowed to learn Malaysian swear words?
I don't think so.
Dang.
I don't think so.
Dang. What if it's just can we learn the ones that I can say on here,
Oh,
there are a few curse words we're allowed as a part of a radio operating party.
What are you going to look up Google Translate?
Yeah.
During the break and come back with someone that said, damn right, we're number 1. Jeez.
It's good to be number 1 sometimes,
I don't think this is something that you want to, you pop your collar, look at us.
You know what?
Look at us.
But this goes back to all those other studies. I remember when I was I was told in my early 20s, now maybe someone's just telling me this because I cussed a lot, this was regularly discussed as a sign of intelligence. People who are smart cuss more. So, maybe it just means we're smart. Maybe it just means we're smart. You cuss, Drew. I hear you cuss every once in a while.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I should. Yeah, that doesn't mean that I should.
There are people who cuss more.
Yeah, where did you get this?
I'm also not gonna. I'm not walking around.
Random rumors used to float around.
I'm not walking around claiming I got to hit a quota because I got to make sure that I stay smart.
Someone said every time Cody sings, they add to this list for the United States.
Prepare yourself, because I might be working on something already. Might as well. What do I have? Summer? I got time? I'd worked on it more this morning, maybe, but no time.
Well, you might not be around. I don't know.
According to the Cleveland,
when you need that.
They're saying they're having a hard time between correlation and causation at the moment. So that's not a proven study yet, but It has been floated around as a possible theory, is all I'm saying.
That doesn't make any sense.
Do you
Why?
really
Because
here's the one thing, I guess this is also like kind of an interesting part of this, because you said I probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
I at no point have taken the amount of cursing I do and thought I should cool it a little. I'm comfortable with the amount that I cuss.
I think there's a.
I am like totally fine with the amount of cuss. I've never once thought I should curb it or work on it, other than like when the kids let one fly that they shouldn't. And then mostly it's just about like, hey, be cool. You can't be saying that stuff yet. Wait till you get a little bit older.
I'd cuss too if I had to root for the Bengals.
You think that you should cuss less, Drew? You want to work on that? Is that what?
I mean, it's not. I think it's. I'm more aware of when I do cuss, which I think is just there's more things to say. I think that are a whole lot more like that are more funny. Like I could say a random phrase that's way more funny than just saying a cuss word.
Mine is more
I've
just
gotten to that point.
They're
in my
filler
life.
words instead of or So like if I'm saying like a 2-sentence long instead of like, you know that this, I'm like, you know that.
Wow. Yeah.
They're filler words sometimes for me occasionally. It's not great, but they are occasional filler words.
That is the trash.
There's a certain word that I'm
of the
thinking.
day.
I don't know if it's the same one that you're thinking of as a filler word, but there's one that I definitely think is a good filler.
There's a couple of good ones, depending on the sentence.
We'll find out what that is.
Not allowed to say them. I already cussed once this month. I can't get called down to the principal's office again. I got to limit that until June.
Up next, we'll get to the Chiefs red half hours. Some early over-unders that are out there. And I teased it earlier. I'll tell you why I think Drew is very happy now. Next.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Cole Reagans, and you're listening to Cody and Gold. Weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hello all, Steve here with Connolly Plumbing Solutions, your neighborhood plumber. It's springtime. Yay! This is when we start working in our yards. Be careful that your outside faucet didn't burst over the winter. Maybe you've discovered that it doesn't work very well. This month we are offering an outside faucet replacement special with access for only $3.99. So call Connolly Plumbing Solutions at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com to schedule.
Hey there, Kansas Lottery here, and we want to get together for a game or two. Meet us at your favorite retailer or wherever you like to buy your tickets, and we can let the games begin. There's a lot of fun and cash on the line. See KSLottery.com for details.
This is Blake Fanning with Shawnee Mission Ford, here with a huge announcement. This month, it's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. Let me tell you one more time. It's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. You pay what we pay, not 1 cent more. You heard right. We got the employee pricing for everyone on new Fords. But that's not all. When you buy from Shawnee Mission Ford, you not only get employee pricing, but you also get our lifetime powertrain warranty, along with our 1-year Select Plus protection with your new vehicle purchase. This is what makes Shawnee Mission Ford different. You get all of it. Employee pricing on a great selection of new Fords, plus lifetime powertrain warranty, along with the 1-year Select Plus protection. And Shawnee Mission Ford is still going to offer you the highest trade values in Kansas City. Do not miss employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Shawnee Mission Ford, where we're on a mission to save you more. Excludes 25 Super Duties, Raptor Line vehicles, 25 Expeditions, and E-Line.
The semifinals are here. That means all the show-stopping action is turning up a notch. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel's the best place to find all your favorite player props, and now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's hitting that over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First on the real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit kansgamblinghelp.com.
Having unexpected car trouble or just in a car accident? Call Jay Southland Tow Service, 816-779-4869 or southlandtow.com. Use the tow service trusted by most local police departments. They can do it all. Be in the know and call Jay's Southland Tow.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Do you know a coach who goes above and beyond? The Royals, the CU and the Major Leagues Foundation, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City are recognizing those impactful men and women. Nominate your high school coach at royals.com/coacheswithcharacter.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I like a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Warning, the national debt is spiraling out of control. Trade wars are causing record volatility, and inflation could make a devastating comeback. Will you sit on the sidelines and wait, or will you take action today to help protect your hard-earned retirement savings? And what if you could do it tax and penalty-free? Find out more by requesting your free 2025 Gold and Silver Kit from the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Plus, you could get an unlimited instant match on bonus silver if you qualify. Call 855-969-GOLD to learn more. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Brought to you by MVP. Only $39 for an AC tune-up. Book now at themvpkc.com. MVP Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric is your home's MVP this spring and summer. Get a summer AC tune-up for just $39 and avoid costly repairs. 913-214-1212 or visit themvpkc.com. MVP. One call does it all.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
The Chiefs Red Half Hour is brought to you by All Weather Decks, Kansas City's most respected deck builder. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net.
Yeah, we'll get to the Chiefs in about 30 seconds. But Drew, you're very happy because during one of the last few breaks,
I am.
On social media, I saw that the new college football video game for this year, last year was the big release again because it had been gone for so long. They announced the cover. You're telling me there's new trailers coming out this week and everything.
Thursday.
the excitement was never going to be the same this year as last year because it was a 12-year hiatus or whatever it was prior to last year. And I don't know, we might still be doing a tournament. I have no idea. I know at one point it was talked about doing that again. We had a ton of fun.
I have not played a game since that tournament.
Okay.
I never bought the new system just to play it.
I have, but
I didn't think I was going to play it enough.
I think, Drew, you play it the most by far in the building now. I played some
yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then for sure.
Already.
Oh, yes. I probably hopped online and played, I don't know, like 2.5, 3 months ago, one random game. But it sounds like you play weekly.
Did you win? I play on a regular basis.
I did, but like Drew's playing every week or multiple times a week.
Well, then he might. Like, how were you? This is always the funny thing to me is like Drew got skunked. We played in this tournament.
What happened?
I at least put up some points.
Tigers.
The game was tied at half in my game. It wasn't like, I mean, I eventually got wrecked, but like, it wasn't a total
that is true. Like, the expectation, you better go out and win a game or two if we do this tournament again at some point.
I wasn't a coward. I played as a tier 3 or tier 4 team, so let's see.
Well, that wasn't just not sports.
No, that's not my fault. Correct. I think there also is a level to that of I should not have done that. If we do have a tournament, I'll probably play as Wisconsin. The one team, though, that I've fallen in love with playing in the game against other teams, Florida. DJ Lagway, I figured things out with Florida.
I don't know. I mean, again,
anyways.
Can I just request to get the...
Cody wants to be Texas.
I want Xbox, not PlayStation. They put me in the square X, and I threw to the wrong person.
The X button is what would throw me off.
I will choose the number 1 ranked team in
I will say this though. I think we have to. I think we have to have new
Texas,
rules for the. If we do the tourney again, I think we need one new rule, and that is, even if it has to be as simple as rock paper scissors, you can both not be the same freaking team if you're playing each other. It's just it's bad. It's bad to watch in the national, not the national, in our championship game.
Sad.
The two guys in the finals both played as Alabama. Sorry, one of you, rock, paper, scissors, sorry, SOL. Like, you can't be playing. It's just ridiculous. I hate that when even, like, growing up playing with, like, friends or whatever, you got to be a different team. Seeing Chiefs versus Chiefs or Alabama versus Alabama on a video game is terrible. It just is.
It doesn't look right.
Doesn't look right. It's also not fun. It's just like, what are we doing? So that's a pet peeve of mine, but I think it's a tweak we need if we ever do a tournament again.
Fine, I'll choose the second-ranked team if I can't be the first-ranked team.
913-586-7965. Someone said, Drew, I would shoot a 90 at the Corn Ferry Madden tournament.
Not that one.
90 at a Corn Ferry Madden tournament at Augusta, right? Exactly.
Someone said they can't wait to absorb all the conferences as the SEC in the game. No, one of the things that's big is that the deluxe cover, because the cover's
$200 again.
No, it's not that much. It's still $69.99. It's cheaper than your Nintendo Switch games now. Still, anyways,
I don't have a Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo told me I'm on the back list.
Oh dang!
They sent me the email said you're not ready to purchase yours yet. We'll tell you.
You're not ready to.
Ouch.
Okay, dang.
So I don't think I'll be getting it on the day.
Put you in your place quickly.
You know what? My kid's going to keep asking for it, so maybe I can make it all the way to his birthday in August.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to. They're not letting me buy it for you. It's not my problem.
It's a real easy thing to explain to a 6-year-old. But also, like, you know what's funny? Like, again, so earlier we started the show. I had to go in the middle of the night. I had to take my son to the ER because he was, like, doubled over in stomach pain, and we weren't sure what was going on. And so we took him in. But, like, I'm not kidding. They loved him because, like, he was looking at the first, he wanted to see his x-rays. He was very excited to see his x-rays. He professed a love of x-rays to the x-ray technician. They're like, into the doctor. And when they showed him his, he was like, that's my spleen. And then he outed me. The doctor was like, are you going to be as big as your, like talking to a little kid, are you going to be as big as your dad? He was like, well, he's 40. That's what he said. And she's like, is that your right age? I'm like, yes, that's my right age. I don't know why he's so matter of fact about it, but yeah, that's a whole thing.
He knows.
Dang, all right.
He knows.
He's just out here calling out spleens, looking forward to x-rays. It was interesting.
All right, let's talk a little Chiefs here. Chiefs Red half hour. Folks over at Arrowhead Pride, we're trying to figure this out as well, which is, all right, we don't have over-unders for a lot of stuff yet for the football season. We have win totals, right? And there's starting to be some yardage metrics that are out there. But in particular, sacks as a team. I think it's very obvious. Other than truly running back for me, one of my biggest concerns from a skill, from an accounting stat. I'm not left tackle is a number one question, but we're not really doing counting stats for that. Would be the pass rush, and that would be of course sacks. And so where are they at in sacks? So they had 57 in 2023. They had 16 fewer sacks last year than they had in 2023.
And they ranked in the top 5 2 years in a row before last year, which I do think is kind of with very similar talent.
It was the lowest sack total since 2021. Last year was and they only had 31 in 2021. So you think about where the sack number would be. If I told you they had 41 in 24, 41 in 2024, and 57 in 2023, and you split the difference and you say, all right, they're going to have 48, 49 sacks, would you feel comfortable taking the over-under, knowing that, all right, Chris Jones is back, Amenihu's back for a full season? That's the big swing here. Is Amenihu going to be available all year?
When's the last time he was in his NFL career?
Right. And
so, no, I do not think that.
If he was, then he could be a 9, 10, 11 sack guy. But he's either had injury or he had his own personal stuff going on that caused him to miss the part of the season.
But I will say the Chris Jones stats are going to go back up. He's not going to have the low number of sacks he had last year. Look at his history. Look at his life.
So I think he's back to a 10-sack guy this year.
Yeah. And so for me, the question is whether or not I can replace the sacks lost by Turk Wharton with Gelati and Norman Lott. That's really what I'm asking myself, is whether or not those 6 sacks that came from him can be made up in the Felix Anudike, Norman Lott, Ashton Gelati triangle. And my answer to that is yes. I'd take the over. I do think that this team will be closer back to the top 10 number of sacks going into it. I'm not saying I'm not afraid of it. It's obviously their least amount of depth, and it requires them getting their draft picks right. Because if they didn't get any of their draft picks right, or at least one of those guys right, well, then they're going to be under that number. Because if Gelati or Norman Lott aren't sack guys, and one is an interior defensive lineman, well, then they're probably going to have a slightly different issue.
Yeah, I mean, Norman Lott, I think, will play a decent amount. I don't know how much Gelati's going to play. You know, I mean, we talk about bodies needing to work in.
We just talked about that, like Amenihu's. I mean, is he available? Karlaftis played right away, 3rd-round pick versus first.
Yeah.
Felix didn't. I can give you examples of guys who didn't play.
Yeah, I don't expect, him to have as much of an impact immediately. Karlaftis could be playing for a big contract, too, which usually bodes very well, as we know, for somebody heading in. So, okay, the Chiefs have also top 50 sacks a couple times during this run as well. I will stay on the defensive side. What about interceptions? Because this is the Trent McDuffie. Is there more to come? He finally got a couple last year. They basically average between 11 to 13 interceptions a season as a unit.
I don't see
anybody. Such a fickle thing, though.
Unless
I would
Noah
say.
Williams, who they do say is a ball hawk, finds his way into 4, 5 rookie interceptions, same number. 12, 13 goals, probably the number. I mean, I how am I supposed to assume it's outside of that? And again, I appreciate Arrowhead Pride for putting out these like hypothetical numbers because it helps. But like, I don't see more, man. I don't see more.
McDuffie moving back inside a little bit more because of having some flexibility, not only with Williams, but also going out and acquiring Christian Fulton, right? That should also help this a little bit.
How about points allowed per game? That's where those two stats kind of come to a head. They took a look at it over at Arrowhead Pride. They said, here's where they were on average last year. They're facing better teams, though. Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Buffalo, to name a few. Would you take over under points allowed per game at 20?
Based on the schedule that they have and some of these quarterbacks that they're going to face this year, I think I would take the over. I think I will, unfortunately. When you think about not only in their division, improved play, but they've got guys like
improved offensive play specifically.
Yeah, on their schedule, look at the quarterbacks. So in the division, we know who those are twice a year, but you have Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen. You don't have Joe Burrow on your schedule this year. You go through and you think about some of the quality quarterback play that you're going to see. That would be – it's tough because I think the secondary is going to be a lot better with the 2 additions that they have to it versus what they're rolling out there.
No.
But that's the question. So I think the competition at QB is going to be upgraded from what they saw last year.
Over the last 5 years, they've allowed under 20 points per game 3 times. Last year, 17.9. The year before, 19.4. And 5 years ago, 19.3. But in 2017, they allowed 21.2, and in 2018, obviously, they allowed quite a bit more than that. So, like, if you start going through the last, 5, 7, 8 years, it kind of varies a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a little bit lower than that. It's for the last 5 years, because in 2023, they only allowed 17.3. So, really, the question is, do you think, Gold, they are going to be more like what they have been lately, or do we think that they're going to be more like where they were before? I
just want to know how much
of lean under. I'd lean under, but that's only basing on the fact that I think the secondary is dramatically improved.
Yeah, if the secondary is what I think it could be, then an under is in play. Real quick, just going back to the quarterback stuff. I mean, this is you even think about the first half of the season, what you're facing. We know the quality of team. So Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, then you get Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen. Those are the first 9 weeks. There's obviously a couple names in there you're not fearful of. And then on the back half, you get Bo Nix, whoever Indy is going to throw out there. I don't know, Daniel Jones. Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, Herbert, Cam Ward, Nix, Geno Smith. So much the reason why we all think the first half of the schedule is tough, same thing. All the quarterbacks are in the first 10 weeks of the season that are really, I think, scary to you if you talk about guys that have a potential to one day be MVPs or already have been.
Weirdly enough, probably my biggest hesitation on this is what the Chiefs face, which I talk about with other teams, and so I think I have to, and I'd be lying to myself if I didn't apply it to the Chiefs. The Chiefs 2 years in a row essentially have been one of the league's better defenses, top 5-ish in each of the last 2 years. That's why they've been able to get to 2 straight Super Bowls, even though their offense has not been living up to their normal end of the bargain over the last 2 seasons. They still attended both Super Bowls and won one of those 2. Defenses, man, you want to talk about aging in a hurry? Defenses fall apart so fast in the NFL. They do not sustain nearly as long as any other unit. The only thing that I think helps is Karlaftis is essentially in a contract year. Minihue is in a contract year. Dana is in a contract year. So, they've got some guys who are, playing for some real juice. Trent McDuffie, if he doesn't get signed, which I hope that they pay him now, he would be playing for an even bigger number, and he's just rock solid anyway. So there does, and, I think Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson are playing for their job and playing for their next contract in the NFL. And so I do think I think they've got one. The reason why I would say under is I still think the defense, and I'm curious if you guys feel it, I still think the defense has one more year at this level of where they've been the last 2 years. And so I still think they got one more push, unless they knock the last draft out of the park, then maybe it continues. I think they got at least one more solid year of this. One more solid year of Jones with everyone else looking like a top 5 defense.
As long as you still have Spags, too, I think that you have a shot at,
he's
being
not getting hired anywhere else, is he?
No,
as long as Spags is there, I feel like
you're the DC throughout this entire run. Chris Jones is the question. Do you believe last year was everybody was able to keep? He was getting double and triple teamed, even though, and he was still having an impact. The sack numbers weren't there. Can he get back to having the big sack numbers? Is there one more year like that left before Father Time eventually catches up? It's different when we're talking about someone in their mid 30s or low, early 30s as a lineman versus other positions. There's some positions you could be 38 and be extremely effective, right? Quarterback. But at defensive line, usually by the time, once you get to, he's got a year or 2 left, in my opinion, of being like Chris Jones, the dominant
before
future
Aaron
Hall
Donald
of Famer.
wasn't Aaron Donald, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is
that's why they drafted a bunch of defensive linemen. Sure. They're trying to find their future
Absolutely.
answers.
I was going to say, this technically is jumping a little bit too far ahead, but given how this draft went, defensive tackle-wise, does that, what you guys are talking about with Chris Jones, make it that need number one next offseason, whether it's free agency or anything else? Defensive tackle.
Yeah. I mean,
defensive line is almost the number one need every year.
In terms of replacing, getting the guy that can eventually be that replacement.
Can you tell me if Simmons is any good?
Yeah, I can't.
Because that's the number one need if he stinks.
It still could be offensive line.
Oh, absolutely. There's a real chance it's still a tackle spot. There's a real chance we think it's clearly wide receiver. Let's say this year that something happens injury wise or whatever, and they just it doesn't come together again. I think wide receiver could still be in play. I don't think you can definitively say 100% what position it's going to be. They haven't even got to training camp. I get the question, but I don't think defensive line will be one of those positions, no doubt, in the conversation next year. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance we're right back in the same spot talking about the number one issue being protecting your quarterback again. Hopefully not, but there's a chance.
If it's not that, it will be defensive line. Almost assuredly, unless Gelati turns into a 15-sack guy and George Karlaftis is under extension at 10 sacks again. Then, not 15 sacks, that's probably an overshot, but you get the point.
And Norman Lott, actually, his production is up to the par of what they need.
Yeah.
And
either Lott or Gelati or Felix. If somebody turned into an 8 to 10 sack guy and Karlaftis was under an extension, well, then maybe it's not as deep of a concern. But defensive line, I've told you, I would take a defensive line with one of my first, second, or third round picks. I would not go those 3 rounds without taking that position every year in the draft in perpetuity forever. I would never skip that position in one of those rounds. It would be an automatic. If I didn't get to it in the first, I'm getting to it in the second and the third. If for some reason I missed in the first and second, I am 100% of the time taking one of the third. That's not a position I miss on. I feel like that's a good way to win.
Did you guys see an old friend is trying to clear the air a little bit on a podcast recently?
It's nice to clear the air sometimes,
A week or so ago, Kadarius Toney was on the new Rory and Mal podcast to talk about his career. And he, of course, praised Patrick Mahomes, talked about his time in Kansas City. And at one point he said, quote, "The moment I realized that, like, one practice, the man threw a crazy pass, yeah, I realized he's different. Never seen anybody do anything like that. They're not even playing an overall video, and it was on the money. But our chemistry started when I first got there. The coaches kind of made it an emphasis, like, oh, yeah, we got to make sure you all put your time to make sure everything is kind of on point because we need you right now." You took this as he was just trying to. I
think he'd like to be back with the Chiefs.
You think so?
I think Kadarius Toney.
He'd like to just have a job in the NFL.
Yeah. But also, he probably realized how good he had it. I don't know.
His career is like toast at this point.
Is there like a team that would take him? The Chiefs have taken. Here's the one thing I'll say for Kadarius Toney. I think part of the reason he brings this up. The Chiefs have not exactly been unwilling to bring in former Chiefs wide receivers.
This is different.
Back into the fold over the last couple of years.
I
hate it. Don't get me wrong. I want this guy nowhere
You had
near
the whole
team.
Instagram video, hacking, all of that whole thing.
He was hacked, man.
You had this.
20-17 Buffalo. They send another blitz. Selling out. Flag on the play. Might be a free one. They've got Kelsey at the 30. Kelsey 25, angling back. 20. Now he's going to lateral it back at the 15-yard line. It's Toney. 10, 5, touchdown, Kansas City. They mess around in practice with this all the time. It's going to go with a 49-yard touchdown. Kelsey, the old University of Cincinnati quarterback.
Number 19, offense, lined up in the neutral zone.
Oh,
the way that
I didn't want to hear that play ever again.
Actually,
he's like,
sorry about that. About that.
So you wouldn't welcome back Kadarius Toney with open arms?
No, don't need it. No.
I just remember people when he got
Focus
traded
on the rap career.
He was getting
and
ready
move
to
on.
be a 700-yard wide receiver. Former. He doesn't even have 1,000 yards in his career. Do you believe that? He is now.
I do believe it actually.
wait. Total or in one season?
Total.
Man.
He has had 4
I'll say
NFL
this,
seasons as a former first-round pick.
Yeah.
He has played in 35 games. He has started 10. His career numbers are 82 catches for 760 yards and 3 touchdowns. What the hell were they doing trying to make this a thing? Did they really tell Kadarius Toney, we need you? Need you for what?
Is his career as bad as John Ross's was? He might have a worse career than John Ross. No.
No, he doesn't. Drew, he did. In fact, he did
He's got
have
a better shot at a rap career, as the
he had,
text line pointed out.
He had a massive play or two to help them win a Super Bowl. To say that he has had a worse career than Justin Ross is not fair at all.
No.
Come on.
He has worse numbers than him.
I don't care. He had a massive punt return. He also had a
less career
touchdown.
numbers than Justin Ross.
John Ross's numbers.
Come on.
John Ross or Justin Ross?
John Ross.
I thought you said Justin Ross.
No, I went first round bust.
That's okay.
Bengals, John Ross.
I have to look at John. That might be different.
John Ross was picked. He had 63 catches for 963 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Tony got the ring. So.
I mean, it's hard to get a ring.
End all be all, but like,
we're talking about 1,000 yards in your career. It is not if we're talking about a guy that had a 10-year career, and when we're talking about two guys that obviously were busts.
I also got to be honest. John Ross didn't win any favor here. He was pick 9 before the Chiefs took Patrick Mahomes at 10. And so,
and let me be the person who makes the joke. He also was drafted by the Bengals, who were not in a position to win a Super Bowl.
I mean,
it helps when you're drafted by the Chiefs, or when you're traded to the Chiefs.
Joe
rather.
Burrow was starting.
Kadarius Toney will always
not yet. No,
will always say help them win a Super Bowl, man. That you cannot take away.
John Ross had Andy Dalton throwing him the football.
Big time moment, man. Big time moment against the Eagles.
Didn't he have a couple of years with Burrow? He was taken in 2017. He played through 2020. When was Burrow drafted?
Much early. This was much earlier.
Burrow was drafted in 2020.
This was much earlier. John Ross was much earlier.
John Ross played as a Giant in 2021, yes.
He had the best individual season. How about we had a 7-touchdown season with 210 yards? What were they doing with John Ross back in 2018?
They were doing what the Chiefs should be doing with Xavier Worthy. They said, go deep and we'll throw you the ball. 4.42 speed, we'll just throw it up to you. And he did well.
I mean, Wells relative. He had 210 yards. He got in the end zone.
Sorry, yes, correct.
Wells, let's not say
if you're in the end zone,
less than 1,000 career yards.
If you're in the end zone as a wide receiver, you're doing your job, I guess.
I mean, that's
in
a skill.
some way, shape, or form. But yes, the pick before Mahomes is a tough look.
I'm just like, I just go back at those, and it's like the two teams, the franchises they've held down the most, all had a free crack. Not like they had to trade up. They just had to either not trade their pick and take Patrick Mahomes, pick him at 9 instead of John Ross. Every team, like specifically the teams that the Chiefs have done a really good job holding down painfully those teams all had a free shot at Patrick Mahomes.
Wait a second. Hang on. When was Mahomes drafted? Year?
2017.
Okay.
John Ross is the player, yes, text line from the 816, who retired 2 days after Chiefs training camp.
And then he came back a couple months later and said he wants to still play.
Yeah.
Not for them, but yeah.
Chiefs training camp was too hard. He was looking for a lighter workout.
Who knows what was going on? He might have had some personal stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone said future Ring of Honor nominee, Kadarius Toney.
Oh, my gosh. Do you think he actually gets in the Ring of Honor?
No, Drew, stop.
Hang on.
Let's not get carried away.
The way that you are talking about this play in the Super Bowl, I'm just saying, McCole Hardman is then, right?
No, McCole Hardman's not getting in the Ring of Honor.
You don't think McCole Hardman's getting in the Ring of Honor?
What does he have? 3,000? Not even that. 2,000 career
receivers? Hang on. I'm not talking about numbers. I'm talking about moments. McCole Hardman has three.
No.
He's got great moments.
Good moments.
No, he'll be here for we're doing the 10-year anniversary of this Super Bowl champion dinner. He'll be at that.
I think in total, in the entire franchise's 50-plus year history, including coaches, players, contributors, etc., I think they have over 50 in there, but no, come on, Drew. Come on.
I'm just asking a question.
They might as well put LRZ in there too.
I didn't say he should be in
him out
there.
in training
He helped. He provided LRZ provided radio shows content in the summer months.
Kept the distractions away from other players.
I didn't say he should be in. I was asking if he was, or if you actually thought he was.
I do think that there's sometimes I wonder, because we did this argument with the Royals. I do think there's an argument of just putting teams that win championships together as a unit.
A team, not an individual player.
Like individual players, the biggest individual players can still have their thing. But you can invite everyone out for the team, and this, but that's, you don't put them in the Ring of Honor, you just honor the team. It's the 5-year, it's the 10-year anniversary. Here they are. You don't have to be in the Royals Hall of Fame.
McCole Hardman, Kadarius Toney is funny though.
McCole's got a way better argument for Toney.
I know. That's why I asked.
Cody and I are laughing too because we know deep down him and I have had a back and forth for years on Tyrann Mathieu. I'm convinced. I'm convinced Tyrann Mathieu's getting in their Chiefs Ring of Honor one day, way down the road. I'm convinced. Much stronger case for him.
I don't even think Tyrann should get in. I think McCole. I'm not willing to go that far down the list.
I think Tyrann Mathieu gets in the Ring of Honor.
Shout out to the 913. John Ross has had a better career because he did get a ring this year with the Eagles.
Yeah, he didn't actually play though.
You know what's going to hurt?
He didn't actually play.
Do you know what's going to hurt?
Kadarius Toney made a play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he caught a touchdown. Do you know what's going to hurt Tyrann Mathieu now? Is that Tyrann Mathieu only played 3 seasons in Kansas City.
Yeah.
By the time they're starting to do the Ring of Honor stuff, they're going to decide between guys with more rings than him. Chiefs players who had 3 years or 4 years in Kansas City, but got more rings.
Yeah, but we're acting I understand the current number of players that have made it in the Chiefs Ring of Honor. When you have the run and one of the greatest runs,
the numbers are getting ready to go up. I got you.
You're going to have more people than you, because it's the greatest era of your franchise's history. So it'll seem like there's way more. And also, I'm talking about he's still playing for the Saints. So this is it could be 20 years from now, maybe 25, 30 years from now. I don't know.
You're saying at some point.
I think Tyrann Mathieu will make it into the Chiefs Ring of Honor at some point. Anyway, all right, let's get to what's trending as people are clowning on you. I'm sorry.
Dan Sorensen.
Yeah, you guys need to relax. I didn't say you should be in there.
We'll get to what's trending, then we'll talk more about the multiple moves the Royals have made since we were last on the air. That's coming up next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-317-1890. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890.
Hi there, I'm Charlie. And I'm Carter. Our dad is Rex with Rex Buys KC. If you're thinking about selling a home in Kansas City and don't know where to start, our dad can help. Sometimes life throws curveballs, like moving for a new job, dealing with a divorce, or inheriting a house you weren't expecting. Dad doesn't just make offers, he talks with people to help them understand all of their options. No pressure, and it doesn't cost anything to talk with his team. He's a local home buyer who really knows Kansas City. If selling to him is the right choice, he'll give you a fair cash offer, and you can close on your timeline even in as little as 7 days. He buys homes in any condition. No need for repairs, no fees, no surprises. Just an honest, easy process so you feel good about your decision. Want to talk to him? Call 816-330-6000 or go to rexbuyskc.com. Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
It's Taco Tuesday time, Kansas City, and Summit Grill is bringing the flavor. Every Tuesday from 3 p.m. to close, hit the bar or lounge for our legendary $2.50 tacos and $5 house margaritas made with Jose Cuervo Tradicional Silver. Come see us at one of our 3 convenient Summit Grill locations, Waldo, Lee Summit, and Gladstone. Join us for steak street tacos, cold drinks, and your favorite neighborhood vibe. Taco Tuesday never looked or tasted so good. Summit Grill, proud taco partner of the Cody and Gold Show on 96.5 The Fan.
Do you think astronauts fight over elbow room? Probably. Because advanced tech doesn't always mean more space, until now. Introducing the Hyundai Ioniq 9, a 3-row electric SUV with over 300 miles of range, ultra-fast charging capability, and lots of space. The all-new Hyundai Ioniq 9, space in an EV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
Ioniq 9 is available in extremely limited quantities at select dealers in select states only. EPA estimated range based on fully charged battery. For comparison purposes only. Actual range will vary based on several factors.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the GPS directions first, before driving to the mall.
Turn right at the light. In 1,000 miles, you will reach Montreal.
Not Montreal, the mall.
Recalculating. 6,000 miles to Nepal.
No, the mall.
Checking first is smart.
Recalculating.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I really need funding to expand my inventory.
Swish Funding can help you expand inventory, upgrade equipment, and boost your cash flow.
Well, okay, but I need funding fast.
Swish Funding provides funding from $25,000 to $2 million with payment terms tailored to your needs and cash in your account in less than 24 hours.
So what's the catch?
No catch. If you've been in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of $50,000, you could qualify. Just go to swishfunding.com to apply. That's swishfunding.com.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Warning, the national debt is spiraling out of control. Trade wars are causing record volatility, and inflation could make a devastating comeback. Will you sit on the sidelines and wait, or will you take action today to help protect your hard-earned retirement savings? And what if you could do it tax and penalty-free? Find out more by requesting your free 2025 Gold and Silver Kit from the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Plus, you could get an unlimited instant match on bonus silver if you qualify. Call 855-969-GOLD to learn more. That's 855-969-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Go check out 96.5 The Fan's Instagram page for videos, giveaways, and behind-the-scenes content. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2. Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Applied today at bakeru.edu. The Royals are back home. They opened up a series yesterday against the Cincinnati Reds, dropping game one. They're back at it tonight, 6:40. First pitch right here on 96.5 The Fan. Vern's On Deck show starts at 5:30. It'll be former Royal Brady Singer on the bump for the Reds. The Royals will send out Daniel Lynch. This is a bullpen game today. We'll see how many innings they can get from Daniel Lynch. The Royals are now 29-26 on the season.
Next up on What's Trending, the Oklahoma City Thunder take a 3-1 series lead, over the Timberwolves last night. Knicks Pacers game 4 tonight. They're in Indianapolis again. They trail 2-1 after losing their first 2 games of the series. Thunder game was close late. Came down to free throws at the end. Anthony Edwards missed an important one there late. Eventually, the Thunder take the 3-1 series lead. Teams to lead 3-1 in the Western Conference semifinals. They go on to win it a bunch. Not 100% of the time, but a pretty heavy favorite that the Thunder, who were the favorites going into the playoffs, will make the finals.
Yesterday, the bracket in the field for the 2025 D1 College Baseball Championship were announced. The road to Omaha, and we've got a couple local schools in the field this year. You have Kansas State. They'll be in the Austin Regional. They'll take on UTSA in their first game, likely setting up a regional matchup against Texas if all goes well for the Wildcats. Kansas in the field for the first time since 2014. They are in the Arkansas, the Fayetteville Regional. They will open up against Creighton, and hopefully they get an opportunity to play Arkansas. For whatever reason in recent years, man, when it comes to postseason competition, Kansas has been playing Arkansas in everything. Football in the Liberty Bowl, basketball, obviously, in the NCAA tournament. They also played Creighton this past year in basketball, and it hasn't been good results either. But obviously a big deal to have two locals trying to get to Omaha, man. That'd be awfully cool if either K-State or KU can get to Omaha, but they both have some very tough draws.
Yeah, rooting for the obvious locals to try to do a little noise here. Hopefully there's a chance for them. And you said you might even might be worth the trip.
The Omaha Hawks. They could become the Omaha Hawks if we see them get up there. We'll see, man. I'm going to Omaha this weekend, but the College World Series obviously is like 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Next up on What's Trending, the KC Current got a 3-1 win over the Stars on Saturday. They are at the top of the NWSL standings, and Sporting Kansas City got the 3-3 tie against the New England Revolution.
That is What's Trending.
Yeah, pretty good little weekend there for soccer. Honestly, right now it's like for them, like if you're Sporting, you're just like try not to be an embarrassment like you were in the early part of the season and call it a day, right?
They definitely are playing better soccer.
Quite a bit better.
That is the case. It is a Tuesday. Hope everybody had a fantastic holiday weekend. And because it's a Tuesday, that means our friends over at Summit Grill, our Tuesday lunch partner here on Cody and Gold, and they're proud Taco Tuesday partners of the show. You can head on over to any of their 3 locations in the KC area for $2.50 tacos. Let's start at 3 o'clock today. Starting at 3, $2.50 tacos at any of the 3 Summit Grill locations.
Can't wait to get out there again soon. There's one in my neck of the woods, as you mentioned, over there in Lee Summit, and of course in my old area in Waldo. I can't really walk to the one that's by my house now, but it's maybe a 5-minute drive.
I mean, you could walk. You could. You really could.
Maybe a haul, though. Take the kids to the pool first. It's not far from the community center where my kids go swim sometimes.
There you go.
I want my younger kid to be able to like fully swim without like a life jacket on this year. He's getting better.
Nice.
But like, I wouldn't toss him in a pool and just be like, hope you make it,
Well, that'd be, yes. That's nice of you.
Well, my daughter went up the high dive last year, and I'm like, I wasn't confident. I was like, you're a pretty good swimmer. I think you can definitively swim.
See, for
Can
me,
you swim if you're coming off of that? Oh, I sat in the edge of the pool ready to swim down if I had to.
Yeah.
I was prepped. But at some point, you got to let them try that stuff. You don't know until
that's
they
true.
do it.
This, for me, the heights thing goes back to even the diving board as a kid. It really does.
That was the high dive, man. That wasn't even like a short diving board.
The climb up the ladder and just standing on the board. This is why I don't like heights to this day, I'm convinced. The same thing, man. When it came to the diving board, I did not like going up to the diving board, the very top, because I did it a few times and then
no, I like it.
Ooh, no, it was still the same height thing. Even though I fall in the water, it's gonna be okay. But it's still the depth perception thing and the height thing.
I went to a big pool once, like in Colorado, where you could rope swing into like this huge,
that's kind of cool,
20-foot deep part. You could just like swing down and drop and fall into the pool. It was awesome. I would do that kind of stuff.
You strike me as someone that would do the cliff dive stuff.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, I'm out.
I probably would.
Drew,
Desmond,
have you done the cliff diving stuff? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think you do that.
I know what you're talking about. I've never done it before.
I think Desmond had a busy weekend.
I think I would.
He climbed his first fence. He decided he was like, I caught him like halfway up a fence.
Your fence?
No, it was like we were at my in-laws' house. They have like a chain. Mine's wood fence. He was up a chain link fence, getting his feet in to try to get over to a different park. I was like, where are you going? I was in the back. But I caught him halfway, and he made it 80% of the way through a monkey bar that he had to jump up to grab the rung for. They crashed. He had a long weekend.
Thinking of climbing fences, we have a New Orleans prison escape update coming up later on this hour.
Boy, can't wait.
Yeah, we will get to that. There's an update on what has transpired over the holiday weekend as well. But let's start with the Royals here. We'll talk about them. Multiple moves in the last week. On Friday's show, it was, of course, the DFA of Hunter Renfroe and calling up Nick Lofton. Then yesterday, John Rave was called up from AAA, made his MLB debut. And these are kind of these micro moves until ultimately I think the bigger help could be on the way. We'll talk about Cags a little bit later on this hour. But also the external options, as we've said. I mean, I think they're a month away at least before they can realistically, maybe 3 weeks away, making an outside trade, finding an outside trade partner. But in the meantime, can you get some incremental improvements? And it's been one game for John Rave and like 3 for Nick Lofton, so way too early to tell. But I still think both these guys are kind of patches for hopefully what ultimately is to come later on this summer, Cags and an outside bat or two that need to happen. We all know where this offense is at. In games, this is not just the Royals offense. It's just in games as a whole, the Royals, this is because of great pitching. It's also because of bad offense. They have an average of 6.59 runs per game. As in total, not they're not
between the two teams playing in the baseball
I
game.
wish they were scoring 6.59 runs per game.
They're scoring 3.33 runs per game, which is third worst in baseball, just ahead of Colorado and Pittsburgh.
But the combined amount of runs in their game, because of great pitching but bad offense, is the lowest since 1972. I mean, not lowest for the Royals since 72, as in Major League Baseball.
Team in baseball. Look, that is both an offense stat and a defense stat. What I think is, and we'll talk about some Jack Caglianone here coming up in about 15 minutes, because it's an important part of this equation, but I don't want to mention it yet because it's an important part of the conversation, but I want to have this part first. It is fairly obvious right now that the Kansas City Royals are determined to try anything now. They're in the official trial phase. For those who wanted Renfroe gone, he's gone. For those who wanted them to see if Nick Lofton could get on base at the level he was getting on in AAA, they made that move. They had to talk Kevin Biggio into accepting a minor. He could have just dipped into accepting a minor league assignment. It's good for Kevin for just being like, you know what? I'll earn my way back up. And so they are in the trial mode. They are throwing out guys in AAA. They're going to try Rave. They're going to try Lofton. They're going to see what sticks. You and I talked about it when they made the move for Drew Waters. That was an improvement versus what they were getting out of MJ Melendez at the time. And so it has worked in small micro doses up to this point. The question is not whether or not it works in the long haul, but they've got to try some stuff to get some offense because of that stat, man. They're the third worst offense in baseball. The third worst offense. And we'll talk about the Cags part of this because I'm not going to try to pretend like That can't be part of your solution.
Sure.
The team they're tied for third worst in baseball in runs per game is the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers just had a player who played 8 games in AAA before they called his ass up to the majors.
Yeah, but he also
Because
played 150 in the minors before that, though.
And there was and they're similar age. So, like, Jack hasn't had as much time because obviously they got him in their system earlier. But also, like, when you look at it, it's like part of the reason they did it is because of injury. And part of the reason they did it is because, part of the reason they did it is because they needed a bat, an offense, some kind of hitting. Like, I'm not over, like, I don't know. It's so weird. I am not always, I think on this show, hyper optimist guy. I think I am a little bit more of the Royals than the Chiefs sometimes.
For sure.
But not.
No, I think that's fair. Yeah.
But not like, I don't even think I'm like an over optimist when it comes to the Royals. You and I had said before the season, we were like right in line. I think maybe you had them at 89 or 90 wins. I had them at like 88 or 89. They're right on pace for that. They're like an 86, 87 win team based on their current record. The way their offense is playing right now, they should be, and we said this like 20 games ago, it's only more true now, they should be a bad baseball team. Just straight up. They should be a bad baseball team based on just the offensive numbers alone. They can't hit homers or score runs or hit with runners and score. They're struggling as a unit in all of those areas. They're not a bad baseball team. They're a good baseball team. They're a winning baseball team. They're on pace to be a playoff team as it sits right now. So, like, at some point, I know they can't solve all their offensive problems for the next 30 days. Like, I know Caglianone is the quickest thing they can do to solve part of their offensive problems. But the rest of it, the, like, trade market part of it, that's 30, 40 days down the road when the trade market develops, Gold, which is why I like that they're trying Rave and Waters and everyone else and Lofton and everyone else under the sun to try to find it. I'm okay with the way they're approaching it.
Yeah, look, this at this point, we all know the offseason issues in the outfield, they were not able to address, and that has come back to bite them. But as much as people talk about that, I still think if we're being honest about what was going to be the driving force of an offensive team, it was probably never going to be that Hunter Renfroe was just going to play well. It was going to still be that Salvador Perez was not going to have the type of numbers that he's having right now. That in the first month of the season, Vinny wouldn't struggle. He's now hitting really, really well above 300, by the way, in the month of May.
He's hitting 350 in May.
Yeah, but they also thought, Jonathan India was not going to have the numbers that he was having. My point being is still as much as we can talk about the guys 6 through 9 in the order, or Hunter Renfroe, who's not even part of the organization anymore. It's the guys in the first 4 of the order that still are going to have to carry this thing. Even if Caglianone gets called up, I don't know. Maybe he's batting 6th, 5th. I have no idea where they would put him in the order. Probably something like that.
They'd probably put him 6th or 7th. He should probably just hit 4th. I'm just like,
but they're not putting him there immediately. But,
and he'd have to hit after Vinny, so he would hit 5th.
My point being is, like, even when he gets called up, if you tell me Salvi and India and Vinny aren't all hitting at the same time together, then there's going to be some problems there as well. I mean, we're all very, very excited for Jack Caglianone. We're going to talk about him in 15 minutes, but the numbers he's putting up in AAA, like he's not putting up numbers to carry an offense immediately when he comes up to the big leagues.
No player could.
Big picture,
maybe Aaron Judge.
Big picture, one day, yeah, he's probably batting 3rd in this order, and he's a huge piece of it. Like a year from now, 2 years from now, that's true. But the minute he gets called up, that cannot be the expectation, and so it still goes back to me, the first 4 guys in the order ultimately are going to have to hit. Nick Lofton, John Rave, these guys, no disrespect to them, I view them as kind of patches to the problem right now. And look, hopefully they seize the opportunity. And
then they don't have to trade for a 5th outfielder.
But
it could just be
right now, I think they're patches for a problem until they can make an external move or an internal one in the next couple weeks or a month if Cags keeps hitting the way he's doing. The way he's hitting. So that's where things are at. But, I think people are nervous, obviously, because, and I'm talking about fans, because, yeah, they're on pace for 86, 87 wins, but I think there's always the thought, okay, what happens if the pitching drops out? Then you're screwed, right? And I think we've seen enough to know that this pitching has been doing this now for over a year, or a year and a half almost at this point.
I can't, the offense is in such
Michael Massey, Salvador Perez, keep going down the list. I mean, these guys just are not hitting.
Yeah, India's not hitting well enough. He's not hitting as bad as those 2 guys are, but he's not hitting well enough either. I mean, the offense is at a point now that I continuously keep trying to... I try to talk myself out of it because, and it's not like I'm not the bring back every name we've ever heard of. I'm the opposite of that. A majority of the time for the Chiefs or the Royals or anything else. Like we talked about this with Juju Smith-Schuster or whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep looking at Ryan O'Hearn ends up being it's the one guy who fits what they need.
What are you going to do, DH him?
The only problem is,
I mean,
playing
you're playing
outfield.
right. So you have him in right field. Cags where?
Left when he got called up. He's playing left and right technically. So, but the other problem is he's a lefty. Vinny's a lefty. It doesn't.
I told you I'm out on bringing Ryan O'Hearn back.
Look, he'd be a better rental bat if you didn't have a guy like Jack Caglianone in the minors. Is the truth. Do you realize that Ryan O'Hearn is hitting 3 for a miserably bad Orioles team? He's hitting 340 with a 426 on base and a 969 slug. In WRC, which is just like the stat for the value you bring to a team, he's technically the 4th highest in baseball. This is where he is. He's only behind Judge, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani.
No, I mean, awesome for him. I just,
crazy.
I won't say, I'm pretty much universally not a big believer in bringing back players that you parted ways with. In this case, it's also been 3 years.
The text line from the 816 said the season is slipping, boys. Do you feel? I don't feel that yet. I don't.
This next week will, for a lot of people will determine that. I mean, look, they've had ups and downs. They've won 16 of 18. They're now they've won 4 of their last only. Is it 4-14, 4-16 or something right now?
Yeah,
they're struggling, but these are the ebbs and flows that they've had so far this season.
And when you have no offense, I guess I would just kind of anticipate that until you find comfort in your offense every day, which I still think they're trying to work through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's not surprising to me.
I don't obviously know where the texter is coming from directly on. I don't know where were you at.
I'm just asking if you sense that, if you feel the season getting away from them.
I don't. I mean, we recognize the offensive problem. As long as the pitching holds up, then they're going to be able to hover around where they're at until they potentially have a way to fix the offense. My question would be, if you feel it's slipping away, did you also think it was slipping away on April 20th?
They're 2 and 3.
I don't know if you were, but if you did, then it's that there was also people that thought the season was slipping away on April 25th.
They're 2 and 3 in their last 5. They're let's see, 4. They're 4 and 4 in their last 8. They're I'm not here to claim that there's some world beater team right now. They're not, but they're 4 and 4 in their last 8 games.
If you want to say
then I take the last 12. Well, then they're 4 and 12. They're 8 and 12, right? Or 4 and 8. Sorry, 4 and 8.
No, they had the last 10 plus games. They have not obviously performed at the level that they were before. I would say, if you want to argue that the division and catching the Tigers, you're worried about that could slip away over the next week or two, I could hear that out a little bit more. But not, as far as that, they're slipping away and they're not going to make the playoffs because of what's happened in the last 14 games. No, I can't get on board with that.
Well, when they got done with their massively long winning streak, where they were winning 16 of 18 games, they were 5.5 games back of the Tigers. Do you know where they are now? 6.
Well, look at the rest of the American League from a wild card perspective too, Cody. The division is
no
loaded,
different in their stand. They're a half game further back of the Tigers than they were right after they got done winning 16 of 18 games.
Yep.
So what that tells you is that the Tigers are losing as many games as they're losing right now.
The Royals are 4 and 6 in their last 10. The Tigers are 5 and 5 in their last 10.
Yeah.
The Guardians are 4 and 6 in their last 10. The Royals are 4 and 6 in their last 10. The Twins, who obviously just beat them in a series, have won 6 of their last 10. Makes sense, right? They won the series against the Royals. That's the difference. That's the difference.
One of those first 2 games when they were down, when they got walked. We didn't even talk about that because it was so far down the weekend. How frustrating was the start to that series, Gold? Walked off back-to-back days in the bottom of the 9th inning.
They avoided it, thank goodness. Otherwise, it was about to be 3 straight,
Yeah, they avoided it. Yeah, they did not get walked off. They went to extras and won that game. Phew.
Nick Lofton helped them in that one.
Did you see? We maybe, as you'd mentioned earlier in the show, if you guys missed it, Governor Kehoe spoke and officially announced they will be doing a special session that will include talking about funding for future Chiefs and Royals stadiums in the Kansas City metro, on the Missouri side, in the Kansas City metro area. This is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it starts next Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, Monday the 2nd. I think it goes to the 13th.
So they'll have 10 days or so in order to discuss this. If they can get that passing, I think, matters for where the Chiefs and Royals say they're going.
Oh, for sure.
I think they need that funding in hand before they start going to the counties in order to ask for the money, going to just the city of Kansas City's got their own funding mechanisms that Quentin Lucas has vaguely spoke about a number of times. It's not nothing over the next 2 weeks, because we'll have to wait a week for them to start, that he at least called the special session, they have a chance to pass. And you had pointed out that maybe they're going to be conceding in ways to try to get it passed, which also helps this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we all know there was some other issues in addition to the stadium bill that were being discussed towards the end of their legislative session. And there was some things that didn't pass that some folks there wanted to have a chance to vote on, and then that caused them to, basically not agree to potentially vote or vote in the way in which some people wanted them to. And so now maybe there's multiple issues in addition to the stadium bill that are going to be brought up during the special session, and maybe that can alleviate, I guess, a little bit of the stalemate, if you will, on the stadium bill. We'll see. But the path for Missouri keeping both teams or one of the teams absolutely has to involve the stadium bill. Absolutely has to have it. You need the state funding mechanisms and the mechanism that would allow them to get closer to what Kansas is offering from a star bond perspective. They obviously call it something different in Missouri, but it would be a very similar, not an exact, but similar type of funding mechanism. And this goes back to the fact that there's a deadline at the end of June. The star bonds in Kansas expire. Well, now we know there's a special session in Missouri happening that, will wrap up around the middle of June. And so it is all, as we've said a few times, coming together where this month of June is going to be kind of the deciding factor. Not that we're going to know exactly where each team is at, but in terms of which side of the state line, I think by the end of June, we're going to have that answer. And the special session at minimum is what is going to keep this a possibility from Missouri. You have to at least have the chance to pass this stadium bill, and they have a chance to pass it. We'll see.
I got my confidence level in Missouri passing.
I hear you.
Anything is in the basement, dude. The
Understandable.
Below, sub-basement. The core, it's just, it cannot, my expectations of Missouri's ability to sit in the legislature and actually pass something cannot be high at this point. Their track record over the last, we've been following them because of the sports wagering stuff, and it came up with it's just pretty much everything ends up in a ballot. And the last time this one ended up in a ballot on the state of Missouri, or in the Jackson County end, they didn't pass any of it. And then in the normal legislature, they were unable to even bring it up for real conversation into the session. And look, for all I know, maybe they did that because they knew he was always going to call the special session. So they're like, we'll get to it then. We're making a point. There's a lot of stuff in there that I just don't understand. I'm not optimistic, but I am interested. But I've told you before, I just want to know now, and this is really where you and I have come into it. The Missouri-Kansas thing is not as important for me as tell me where it is, tell me where it's going to be. And yeah, it is important to me for one reason, which is I still want the Royals downtown. So that part, finding out where they're going to go, that's more important to me than where the Chiefs go.
Yeah, I think two different sides of it. There's the obvious issue, no matter what state you're talking about, the financial impact if you leave a certain state. But from a fan, if we're just talking from a fan perspective, ultimately the number one priority is making sure both teams are staying in the KC Metro. And that's going to happen one way or the other here, the Royals or the Chiefs staying. But yeah, there's massive repercussions if you're someone that lives in Missouri, and specifically Jackson County, if you were to lose one or two of these teams. There's massive dollars leaving your city, leaving your county, leaving the state.
So you'd think that pressure would make them make the decision on this to fund it. It won't, or it won't guarantee that they will, because the infighting's out of control.
All right, up next, let's talk about Cags and what a week it was, his first week in AAA. You'll want to hear what JJ Piccolo had to say about that first week. We'll also get to the random question of the day right here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Bobby Witt Jr., and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Baseball fans love the long ball, and FanDuel is giving you even more reasons to love home runs every Tuesday during the baseball season. Because with Dinger Tuesdays, all customers get a home run profit boost token. That means when you bet on moonshots, you can take your winning to all new heights. So whether it's a big blast or an oppo, FanDuel is your home for betting home runs. All you need to do is go to FanDuel.com, use my promo code KFNZ, and gear up to go yard all season long. So every Tuesday, pick your favorite player to hit a home run. Doesn't matter if it's Bobby Witt Jr., Aaron Judge. The decision is yours. Use my promo code KFNZ to claim your Dinger Tuesday profit boost. Make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Bonus issue with non-withdrawable profit boost. Token restrictions apply, including any token expiration and match wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreements. Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get help with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-317-1890. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890.
Get ready for summer's heat with a $69 AC tune-up from Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. Our expert technicians will make sure your system is working at peak efficiency to help you save money on energy costs. At Hamilton, we know how important your family's comfort is. Our exceptional service guarantee, plus over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews, are great reasons to trust Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. Visit callhamilton.com for detailed terms and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
This is Blake Fanning with Shawnee Mission Ford, here with a huge announcement. This month, it's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. Let me tell you one more time. It's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. You pay what we pay, not 1 cent more. You heard right. We got the employee pricing for everyone on new Fords. But that's not all. When you buy from Shawnee Mission Ford, you not only get employee pricing, but you also get our lifetime powertrain warranty, along with our 1-year Select Plus protection with your new vehicle purchase. This is what makes Shawnee Mission Ford different. You get all of it. Employee pricing on a great selection of new Fords, plus lifetime powertrain warranty, along with the 1-year Select Plus protection. And Shawnee Mission Ford is still going to offer you the highest trade values in Kansas City. Do not miss employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Shawnee Mission Ford, where we're on a mission to save you more.
Excludes 25 Super Duties, Raptor line vehicles, 25 Expeditions, and E-line.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 Pro on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16 Pro. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Hand sanitizer. It's lavender.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check this pocket. Oh, mints?
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. I'm a mom. Wait 1 sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
It's our best iPhone offer ever. Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line $100 plus a month on experience beyond finance agreement $999.99 and qualifying ported. For well qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay off via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
Brought to you by Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Visit ClimateControlKC.com. Climate Control has been serving KC homeowners for over 35 years and know how to get your cooling system ready to handle the scorching hot summer. Schedule your AC system tune-up for just $59. Don't wait. Visit ClimateControlKC.com today. Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Don't forget to stop in at our friends over at Summit Grill, our Tuesday lunch partner here on Cody and Gold, the proud Taco Tuesday partner of the show. You head on over to any of their 3 locations for $2.50 tacos starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We will get to the random question of the day here in about 8 minutes or so, but we, of course, have to talk about Jack Caglianone. And even if you were like, hey, I just don't want to hear it until he is doing things that you simply cannot ignore. He is in now, 6 games, I think it is, in AAA. In 1 week, 346, 5 homers, 10 RBI, 4 strikeouts, just destroying the baseball. And here's the thing I will say. I know they were playing out in Salt Lake in the mountains and everything. You look at some of the XV, those were going to be home runs, even if they weren't in the fresh mountain air there in the altitude. Now, I will
put that on, Jupiter's.
Now, it was against the same team all week. I'll give you that. It's like, okay, well, one of these other teams have some adjustment. And that's what we're going to find out this week when they play the Twins AAA affiliate in Omaha starting today.
Another hitter-friendly park.
Yeah, hitter-friendly park.
It's actually minor league baseball's free game of the day. I wonder why.
Huh.
Do you think it's because Jack Caglianone's just been ripping homers all the time? So if you wanted to, now I'll watch the Royals tonight, but, you get the point.
Yeah. So, look, I think what he did in his first week is absolutely absurd. It's laughable almost. Like, it's just he left AA because the level wasn't good enough for him. He was too good for AA. They call him up to AAA, and in 1 week,
it looks too good for it.
It looks too good for it. Now, it's 1 week. It's against the same team. So let's see what happens this week. And I understand, trust me, I totally get it. Call him up. The offense in the big league club stinks, so why wouldn't you call up a guy that's destroying pitching in the minors? I totally get the connection. I think, though, if we step back for 1 second, and some of you wanted him up a month and a half ago, and I can't, so that there's no point of arguing about that. But
sure.
As far as where we're at right now is they didn't call him up to AAA because they thought, man, we need to really see him play 6 games against that Salt Lake City team. So that's why I'm not banging on the table saying, how stupid are they for not calling him up? If it was as simple as they only need to see him for 6 games, then he didn't need to go to AAA at all. Now, if he does what he's doing for another week or so, then he just forces their hand. I do think that will ultimately happen if he continues to do this. But I just think it was never about, I just need to see him do it for 1 week in AAA. That was never, J.J. Piccolo and the Royals were never saying, we think he's really good, but I just got to see 6 days in AAA. And if you're going to cite
he pretty much said as much.
And if you're going to cite me the Rangers prospect that was in AAA for 8 games, 2 things are different with that. Number one, a player in the big league level, Jock Peterson, got put on the IL, so there was a need right away from an injury standpoint, not a production, but a true injury standpoint. The other thing is that kid had already played over 100 games in the minor leagues, so it's not complete apples to apples.
No, it's hard. It's hard to find an exact comp of went to college, played this few games, because he's already going way faster than most players. I'm not going to have an easy way to find you a guy who is progressing a lot faster. I would not go back in time and put him in AAA or the big leagues faster. He played 60 games in Arizona Fall League in high A last year and did not have an on-base percentage higher than .301. He struck out at 25, 30% of the time. It didn't look like a player who was ready to just take an immediate spot in the big leagues. Since then, however, he has been every bit of that. And this is where, you and I have been, I think, probably maybe the, normal amount of, probably, almost lockstep with JJ and what the Royals have been doing. Makes sense. Take your time. Let's see him in AA. He was doing so well at AA. The timing of when he got to AAA all made sense. Perfect. No more handcuffs for me. He can be in the big leagues tomorrow. It's fine. Tonight.
I mean, I won't care if he gets called up. Yeah.
He's ready.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset.
He's ready, and you can call him up any second. If you want to wait another week, I'm not here to throw you want to wait a couple weeks? I'm probably not going to throw a big fit. If he keeps hitting like this, and it's June 7th, 9th, 10th, and he's still hitting like a homer every night, well, then I will start getting annoyed. After 6 games, I won't, for the same reason you just mentioned. It's a very small sample size. They don't have to rush into it, but I'm officially convinced. Every metric, every bar that they said they had set for him to see, other than just a sheer number of games, and we'll play this JJ clip in a little bit, because the fact that he says a little bit and not a month, 2 months, the number of games he had mentioned, because he's already at the at-bat number. JJ mentioned to us between 100 and 500 to get to the big leagues. He is now between the two leagues at 203 plate appearances, 178 at-bats. So he's already inside the range. I think he's doing all the things that tell you he's ready for the big leagues. He's hitting it off of lefties. He's going to the opposite field.
Yeah.
His strikeout rate is way down from what it was last year. It is at a very, very, very acceptable, borderline, I would say, good number. And he's hitting it off of future big leaguers, former big leaguers, top prospects. He's raking against everybody, Gold. So, I don't need to wait anymore. He can just be in the big leagues, but I don't expect him to do that tonight or anything. I'm ready for the offensive help.
He's going to force their hand if he keeps doing what he's doing, and that's a good thing. I still think the timeline he is on, the track he's on right now, is still best case scenario. They're not slow playing this. I push back on that drastically. I know people will try to cite other examples of guys in other organizations that have been called up. And you're not wrong. If you want to cite Nick Kurtz, the A's prospect, the Rangers prospect, I'm not saying it's never. I'm not saying it's never happened. But for every, for those that are citing 2 players in the last calendar year, I can also give you 100 other guys at times that haven't been fast tracked or whatever. So
Nick Kurtz has been.
We can play that game, and it's he's obviously right now doing everything you could possibly ask for from a prospect that was drafted last year. Everything. Nothing Jack Caglianone has done has caused them to slow play anything. He's on a fast track still, and he might make it super fast. July and August before, I've seen everybody kind of agreed, even though you wanted it earlier, everybody kind of agreed that was probably realistic. If he does what he's doing for another week or two, I don't think they will be able to make have a reason to
if he
have
slows down a little bit, they can take the time they thought they were going to take.
There's a ton of factors that go in it too as well. I don't know how much they weigh each one of these. I'm just throwing out potential reasons on top of just their own individual evaluation. You have the Super 2 requirements coming up till June. I think that'll be effective June 12th-ish. Rookie of the Year does matter now more than ever, and I'm not just talking about him winning it. I'm saying the draft pick compensation. If you win it, you have a player that wins it. You get a draft pick. If I believe they finish second or third, you get an international pick. Well, right now in the American League,
MVP.
And right now that's why they're going to get a pick because Bobby Wood Jr. finished in the top 3 of MVP last year. So you have some new things like that factor in. Jacob Wilson's a rookie for the A's who's hitting 350. He's been awesome. He's the favorite right now, minus 200 at FanDuel to win Rookie of the Year. He's got a head start on you. If you don't call him up in the next week or two, I don't think he has any chance to win Rookie of the Year this year, which means he's not eligible for rookie next year if you call him up before August. And therefore, you don't have an ability to have the draft pick. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's what they're thinking. I'm just throwing out a bunch of different things that could all be part of the consideration.
Well, and J.J. Piccolo had mentioned an important part of the consideration, or at least something they would like if those things align, which says he'd like Jack to get called up when the offense is playing well, not when he has to be the savior.
The hardest part about this for us is we're trying to do what's best for the player. I mean, that's ultimately what this is. You want the player to be as prepared as he can when he comes to the major leagues. It's not fair to any player, whether it's Jack Caglianone or whoever. When a team may be scuffling offensively to try to put it on him and hope he's going to come save the day. The best way to break any player into the major leagues is to try to bring him up when the team's hot, offensively scoring some runs. That's not why he's not coming up right now. We just want him to face more advanced pitching in AAA, see how they game plan for him, how he adapts and makes adjustments, not just game to game, but at bat to at bat. It'll take, I don't want to put a timetable on it, but we want to see it for a little bit. I mean, this first week was great. But we certainly weren't saying when he went to AAA, have a good first week and bring him to Kansas City.
A little bit.
But a little bit is like, that feels like a softening a little of the way. The timeline's moved up. You agree? You and I originally from the very beginning thought mid to late July, early August.
I think it
feels
moved
like
up.
June.
I think it's been
June.
moved up. If he keeps doing this, I think June 13th to that, whatever. I think they play the A's, the Yankees, that like June 13th, June 18th range.
Yeah.
That would be a possibility. But it also still, I think, requires him to hit at a pretty ridiculous rate, which is what he's done for 30 days, including both levels now. So it's there, and assuming they also like where his defense is at. I know we're all focused on the offensive numbers, but also how confident they are in him playing left and right field. I don't know. Dusty and I are driving up to Omaha on Friday and Saturday to watch him. I'm sure you need my opinion on his play.
We'd like your scouting report.
I'll give the go ahead on Friday and Saturday, and I'll let you know, and then they can call him up.
We did give JJ we went ahead and messaged him. We gave him the seal of approval when we were there for our Cody and Gold road trip.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants that. Yeah.
It's just like if you just called up every player who was hot for a week, it'd be a bit problematic. Like, let's just call up the 18-year-old David Shields from A-Ball. Guy's dealing. Let's just see what he's got. Don't do that, please. And nobody knows even who that is in the Royals organization.
He's performing well right now. Yeah.
But like it just with Jack, this isn't even just like me doing like the hyperbolic normal radio, whatever. Like, because you could have done that. I would have just done that from day one. I would have just done that from the day he stepped foot at spring training and said, well, that guy hits monster home runs. Give him to me now. I'm past the threshold of he's checked every single box I would possibly look for in a player and what I need to see in order to think that they're going to be a good big league player.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over in the text line, 913-586-7965. Hit us up on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. We live stream the show every day. If you subscribe over on YouTube, pop to the top of the page. Easy way to find us. We try to have a conversation over there as well, interact with the chats. So, let's, get over there on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook if you'd like to interact with the show. The random question I have for you today is related to my kid because but it's relative to you. It's an answer directly to you.
Okay.
The question, Desmond, who I told you was sick last night, has also been begging for a mohawk for, 2 months. 2 months, probably.
All right.
So we eventually caved. I can send you guys a photo later.
Oh, all right.
Desmond, it's a faux hawk. It's not like
Nice.
shaved on the side, but
Okay.
it's a faux hawk. It's not quite like Bobby Wood Jr.'s, which is more mullety, I would argue.
Yes.
Than faux hawk. But, the kid, saw one kid with a mohawk one time, hasn't stopped talking about it for 2 months. So our rule with kids is like if they ask long enough, eventually you're like, okay, they actually mean it. They actually do want to do this thing. We're in. So Desmond's got a mohawk. The question I have for you today as it relates to that is, what is the worst haircut you had at any point in your life, including childhood?
Yeah.
Mine immediately was around 4th grade, probably. There was the briefest section of time where, I got a haircut and in at least a school photo, it's parted near the middle. And let's be honest, that ain't a great look for anybody, and it certainly wasn't a good look for me. Never had a bowl cut, or that might have been my answer. I avoided that most of my childhood. And I went front spike for a huge chunk of after middle school through high school years, I would say. Before the longer cut, it's got to be the part down the middle. If I'd had a bowl cut, that might have been my answer. And I never went full shave, buzz down to the edge.
I had some short haircuts, but not all the way down to a buzz. I would say for me,
dyed a couple of weird ways too that might count.
Probably, I'd have to. I don't know what age it would have been, but just I guess it was somewhat more of the style at the time. I had some long bangs, some pretty long, no style, pretty long bangs at one point in time. I would say.
Bangs?
That would have been the thing.
That's got to be the answer then.
But I never did, I'm going to ask Drew this because you strike. I never had, the frosted tips, and I feel like you did.
I was going to say
I feel like you had the frosted tips.
The worst haircut I had was last year where I had, I'm kidding.
That was that was a great haircut.
It was a good haircut.
It was an interesting hair dye. I had my hair bleached once with electric blue tips when I was going to.
Ooh,
it didn't last long.
Love
I don't even know
that.
if there's a photo of it.
I wish we had a photo.
I don't even know if there's a photo
That's
of it.
incredible.
I dyed
actually.
the same time my hair got dyed like that. I helped my friend dye his in a leopard print. Down in the bleach. I was just bored in a summer day, and I let somebody dye my hair.
For Crazy Hair Day, I did a slime green. I had green hair.
Slime green.
But no, I never had frosted tips. I had the most basic of haircuts, but I did. I wanted spiked hair when I thought spiked hair was great. So in elementary school, I'm sure there's some pictures that I have.
Yeah, those are bangs. That's not a good haircut for you, man.
This was back.
That's not a good look.
Yeah, that would be the one that comes to mind. I think it was like 08, 09. It was just the hair wasn't styled. It was just
not long enough ago. I feel like that was like college.
This would have been right before senior year of high school.
Senior year of high school.
That was before I didn't do any. I didn't do anything.
A couple of mentions.
Yeah, I didn't do anything to my hair at that time.
Faux hawk, staple back in elementary school for me, not a good look. My stepbrothers, I always found they had like rat tails. I always thought that was not a particularly good look.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't think it. The soccer cut, man, it was just like the soccer bowl cut. That one always stood out. And buzzed. I never went full buzzed. That felt dangerous.
I had some short haircuts, but not a full buzz cut. Someone said, which one of you were closest to being goth? My money is on Drew. Yeah, I mean, actually, Cody, I don't think so. Drew was more skater. You were skater.
You guys are crazy. I
skater.
No, I was. I got an 8. Give me an 8. I buzzed. That's all I did. I never.
You were more skatery, based on your photos.
I've never owned a skateboard. Never owned a pair of rollerblades. I've never. I'm the furthest thing from goth, emo, anything like that.
So like, I never had the long hair, and I didn't do the eyeliner. But I've already told you, Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that stuff.
Fingertips.
I have owned a pair of rollerblades. I don't know if that has anything to do with emo.
Yeah.
Or goth. I've owned a pair of rollerblades. I have owned a pair of Jinko jeans.
Okay.
That's got to qualify.
Did you ever wear skinny jeans?
And there was a stretch of time when that wasn't, emo was baggy jeans, or like goth was baggy jeans when I was of that age. It might be skinny jeans now. It was baggy jeans. Jinko's, stovepipe, that style.
Yeah, like the chain coming
and
off.
And I never had that,
jeans.
but I hung out with some people who definitely had the chain wallet.
Yeah.
So like that, I was like fringe with some people that might have dressed close to that, heading to a Deftones concert, but I wasn't in the crowd, right? I was like fringe. I have been to a Marilyn Manson show.
There you go.
So like, I've got to be the closest in this group for sure. Someone said 2nd through 7th grade had frosted tips. You had it for 5 full grade levels?
They liked it, I guess.
Someone said that I ever wore Van shoes. Yes, I had a black and white checkered Van shoe.
Yeah.
Sure.
I really think of the chain wallet for sure was with the long baggy black pants. The chain wallet would have been
punk than goth, but that puts me closer into the goth range, and I would have hung out with some people that.
Someone says their varsity baseball team all bleached their hair. After the bleach was gone, their hair turned gray for several months. They had gray hair because
the bleach didn't
bad
fully,
bleach. Yeah. I guess.
You got to go back. You got to keep getting it bleached. Otherwise, that's it.
That is the random question of the day. We do have an update, though, on the New Orleans prisoner escape. We've been following that, I guess, almost 2 weeks now. And they're down to 2 inmates still out there. Still 2 on the loose. About a dozen alleged accomplices are in custody at this point in time. We said last week, I think we asked the question this time last week. All right, by Memorial Day, how many would be left? And I think we were like, there might be a handful left. There are 2 left as we sit here on Tuesday, May 27th. And they've all been captured, I think, in New Orleans. Like, none of them, we had this idea, it's like a movie, that they're just all going to be able to just get out of the state or get out of the country. Unless that just doesn't happen. They're going to catch these other 2 probably in the next 2 days, don't you think? I think we'll have all of them in custody.
I mean, the fact that they're only down to 2, man. You said by this week.
Yeah.
So you've probably got inside your timeline. I mean, they've already caught pretty much everybody. The question is, can one person? But everyone's inside the area.
Here's where the latest
was made it that far.
I guess the furthest, in fairness, and it's still not that far, but the latest was 82 miles away. Arrested in Walker County, Texas. About 82. So I guess this person did get out of the state barely. 82 miles out there, but two remain.
2 remain, huh? How did the other guy get caught? You said.
I don't know the story. There's not a crazy story on this last one.
It's not like he hopped in an Uber like the other one.
No, and I don't know if this is the gentleman that was in that Uber or if he's still one of the people that are on the run.
Oh man, God! You know what?
2 were arrested in Walker County, Texas. 1 was arrested.
So we're down to Derek and Antoine. It looks like, based on the 2 guys that are still out and available. I do not know what they did. I mean, high speed. Oh, according to this, Donald Tate led law enforcement on high-speed chase before they were taken into custody on May 26th. So they just did it the classic way. Get in a car, try to drive really fast to get away again, and then failed to do so. And then, the other 2 guys still haven't been found. I mean, do we really think that they're anywhere? Like, if they're in a state, it's a neighboring state, right?
Yes.
They didn't get anywhere of any kind of distance. What we find out is unless you were like you said in the TV show, unless you got like $50 million in the bank and you can access a bunch of cash to help get yourself out of the country. I mean, there's just a limit to what you can do.
Yeah, and they've already caught a dozen people that were trying to allegedly, help them along the way. So
how much trouble could you get in if you just let him crash your house because you were worried about your own safety? Can you be charged in that case? Let's say your guy goes to jail for murder. He shows up at your house and you're like, well, I don't want to tell this guy. No, he might murder me. And the second you get a chance, you phone the police. But he did sleep on your couch at some point.
I think as long as you truly were fearful of your life in that moment, in that exact scenario, I think you might be able to explain that.
Do you think
you
have to physically threaten you, or just be you were fearful because of the implication? A lot of the idea that he could hurt you.
A lot of the accomplices, though, I think it sounds like have prior connection to these people. I don't think they were random people were helping them. It sounds like these were friends, family, whatever that were helping them. I don't think it was just random guy down the street decided to help out
accomplices than the people who've escaped so far.
But someone
accomplices
says
12, escaped prison inmates 8 or 9 or whatever.
Someone says it's harboring a fugitive. Yeah, obviously if you know what but if he points a gun at your head and says let me inside, they're not going to charge you with harboring a fugitive. I think that's what Cody was asking. But
one guy faces domestic abuse and theft of a motor vehicle charges. The other guy faces 3 counts of second-degree murder. 3 counts of second-degree murder. 2 counts of second-degree murder and battery of a correctional facility employee. So
they're all going to be
incredibly dangerous.
They're all going to be caught here very, very soon.
Yeah, I would think so. I think you're right. I think by Friday, no more escaped fugitives.
Yeah, what, $20,000, $30,000 reward out for them too.
You snitching in that case, I'm guessing.
If I knew where they were at, yeah. Yeah. You would? Are you
No,
suggesting that you would not take the money in that scenario?
I'll take the $30,000.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. We've made it very clear in this show that I've both committed the most crime out of the 3 of us and would snitch on someone for committing a crime. It's both.
Yeah.
You can be both. Multifaceted, Not stuck with one thing.
There you go.
You can be more than one thing. Someone says it's harboring a fugitive either way. Again, I just don't know that, Gold, like you said. I think they got to let me off the hook if they actually catch the guy.
All right, up next, we'll get to the 1 o'clock hour. Let's talk more about the SEC commissioner, what he's saying about college football and what role he is playing and what could be an eventual split with the SEC. That's coming up in the 1 o'clock hour right here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Go Yard all baseball season long with Underdog's Champions Game. It's one of the leading places to make all your sports selections that you can play in your state. So whether you're watching Game 4 tonight from your couch and you like the over-under on Jalen Brunson or the higher or lower than on Jalen Brunson, you can do that. If you want to you think Bobby's going to hit a home run, you can choose higher or lower than those as well. You just make those selections over and under Underdog by choosing your favorite stats. Higher or lower than home runs, walks, innings pitched, everything in between. You can mix and match sports for those totals, make those selections, and play with as little as $1. Get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money making those selections over at Underdog. So it's easy. You download the app, choose the sport, choose the player, and make those selections. And you can download the Underdog app and sign up using promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly. Or second.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory is moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, where our testosterone therapy can help you sleep better, improve your sex drive, give you better gains in the gym, and more. Please take a moment and listen to how we help this patient.
Hi, my name is Matt. I've been a patient of Heartland Men's Health for over a year now, utilizing their low T treatment. I woke up one day and realized that I was twice the guy I used to be, and my energy was half of what it was. I made the decision to come into Heartland Men's Health just wanting to feel better and trying to find a solution to why I was tired all the time. And the results that I've gotten brought me back to being myself. It brought me back to being the best spouse I can be, to being the best father I can be. Any of my friends that ask me, they see me, they're like, you're a different person, or they're like, what are you doing? Guys, if anything I've said today resonates with you or makes you think that this might be a good place for you to come get checked out, meet with a specialist here and get your life back on track and feeling better.
Thank you. It's true. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
What's up, KC? This is Matt Quattrero. On your way home from the ballpark, make sure to listen to Vern's postgame show right here on 96.5 The Fan. I will not be listening.
96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey Sports Station.
1 o'clock hour here on a Tuesday. It is Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. You guys can always hit us up on the Jay's Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. And don't forget, if you're trying to figure out maybe what you should do a little bit later on for dinner, you're thinking about your dinner plans, don't forget Summit Grill, our Taco Tuesday partner on Cody and Gold. You can head over to one of their 3 area locations, any of them, for $2.50 tacos. They'll start up at 3 o'clock. So 2 hours from now, you can enjoy some tacos. Taco Tuesday.
I'm going to be taking a nap.
Yeah, you should. You should with a little rush to urgent care or ER or whatever for your son. Everything's good, though, it sounds like.
It was like almost 2 a.m. at this time. We're getting close to leaving, waiting for the doctor to come back and give us the final, like, hey, here's the things you need to do, whatever. And he's like, hospitals are a lot of fun.
Well, at least he's not fearful of them, I guess that's the one way to look at it.
You know what?
Yeah.
Take the positive. Dude, he had everybody working for him, essentially showing him his own x-rays, talking about parts of the heart. He was telling him about his summer plans.
He's fine now, though?
He's okay at the moment. We'll do a follow-up appointment. He seems to be doing a lot better.
Text line's convinced that, you know what? They're like saying the same thing. They think, maybe he was just, constipated.
They did not say that was the problem, though, unfortunately. Oh. And he had gone to the bathroom earlier that day. So, I don't know.
Your trip to the hospital planted the seed for him to becim a doctor. I'm not.
You think this is it?
Wow.
He was already a science kid. The other day, I came home and he'd been playing Minecraft. He's like, look what I built in Minecraft. I'm not kidding. He's like, it's a bone body. And it was all these bones connected in there. And he put a heart in there with the 2 different veins going in.
Wow.
And he's like, and this is the spine. And I was like, what's going on? Either he's going to be a doctor or why are you so obsessed with the human anatomy already? Concerning, Take it one of 2 ways. For now, we'll just say it's a math and science thing. He did seem to enjoy the x-ray. I think was his favorite part, X-rays are kind of cool, though. Right? We can all admit that. X-rays are kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Interesting part of, the human body part of oh, look. If somebody offered you a free X-ray on your arm right now, would you take a look at it to see what the inside looks like?
Yeah.
That's the point. That's why we are here. If somebody came in and gave us on-spot X-rays, we'd all take a look. Not when you're hurt. It's not as much fun. The SEC, we talked about them last week. We kind of gotten into a little bit before. I thought Greg Sankey got into the mess a little bit. I don't want to just harbor on this forever, but I don't understand
the SEC commissioner.
Why the SEC commissioner Greg Sankey and why the SEC in general doesn't think the health of the entire sport is what has led the SEC to being able to print money over the last couple of years. And for some reason, they have decided to either in the future go alone, which is what it seems like they'd like to do, or Greg Sankey would just like everyone to kiss the ring, bow to him, and not make him the bad guy at the same time. It can't be both. You are either the bad guy and be the villain, be the Joker, and take all the stuff like Roger Goodell is and soak in booze and just accept that you're the bad guy only worried about the SEC, or do what's good for the sport outside of it. And Drew and I were even talking in the break a little bit because all of this started because of a 2024 Alabama team that won 9 games. And their coach today was complaining about, I wish they'd played our schedule. Why does the SEC, why does college football pretend like there aren't already built-in advantages that make you great? You're the SEC, you already get more television revenue because you're better, admittedly. But because you've done that, you get more dollars, more recruits, more things. It's already an imbalanced system. Just accept the imbalance that has come your way. And if you only get 9 wins, sorry, you don't get to be a college football playoff team this year. It's not that big a deal. They're trying to burn the whole system down.
Yeah, look,
over one mediocre Alabama team.
I don't disagree for a large part of where college football has gotten and why it's got to this place and how at times it has been very bad for the sport. But if you are an SEC school or if you're the SEC commissioner, his job is to continue to put the SEC in the best position possible. Unfortunately, they haven't cared if that has impacted others as in other conferences because his job is to protect the SEC and bring in the most money. And by that account, he has been doing a hell of a job as the commissioner of the SEC. Now, in terms of him being upset that he's being criticized, well, then, I don't know what to tell him on that. You're going to face criticism That's just how this goes. But the moves he has made have been for the sake of his own conference. Selfish, sure. Reality, also true, right? That's kind of where I'm at on where things are at. And this is someone, and like most of us in this area initially, now I know Missouri fans are SEC people,
Missouri
but you know, I grew up as obviously a Big 12 fan, and as most of us all did, right, at one point in time, or even prior to the Big 12 days, right? And so we all recognize that, and these changes over the years have hurt the Big 12. There's many conversations we have had either on this show or long before we started the show, where by now a lot of people thought the Big 12 wouldn't even exist. The fact that it's still,
a couple times.
The fact that it's where it's at and has actually stabilized itself is kind of impressive. But it is still worlds apart financially from the SEC. Look at the.
They still got you in the guillotine, threatening your death every day. Like Sankey said yesterday. I don't know. We're in the NCAA. You know, people tell me. They keep saying.
Yeah, and look, the issue is the schools initially that left obviously opened the door for all this, but now any school that leaves a conference for the Big Ten SEC, I get it at this point because you have to. Like you said this, if you're Missouri now, while I disagree with your decision at the time because I don't think we were there yet where you had to do it, but now where they're at, they don't have to worry every couple of years if they're going to get be in a conference that is no longer around. KU and K-State still have to worry about that financially, have to worry about meeting certain commitments to do it. I mean, look at even the NCAA baseball tournament that just got announced, the bracket. Not a single Big 12 team is hosting a regional. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. This is just one very small example, obviously, of things that have happened in recent memory.
No, it all comes back to the same thing, which is I understand his loyalty is to the conference, but none of this works if you kill the sport. And I'm not saying like it's not an overnight thing. It takes time. It takes time to ruin a sport, but I think the SEC and Big Ten, especially the SEC, genuinely believe they could just cut ties with everyone else, be 40 teams, and survive. And I think they're dead wrong. Because you eliminate, Gold, you and I are done. Like, you're a Kansas fan, and like, I'll watch, but like, you're done. You're done. You're out of the game. You are not going to care about Alabama, Oregon nearly as much if they just extricate themselves from the rest of this. I also don't think that they're thinking about what the NCAA is going through right now. As it sits right now, the NCAA is mired in a billion different lawsuits from a million different people trying to figure out how their organization has essentially been able to operate not like a monopolized entity that it is. They allow them antitrust exemptions that other sports have been given. If you try to go it alone, they're going to come down on your ass. They're not going to let you just abandon 50 teams in 50 different markets to do your own super league because you feel like it. They're not going to let you operate that way. You're going to have a huge headache on your hand. And I guess the part is, you're cowards? That's what it really comes down to. Are you cowards, SEC and Big Ten? You're too afraid. You're too afraid to just win football games to get into the tournament. You're too afraid to just win.
They're just greedy because they're greedy because they know with the money they have now inherited and the teams that make up and the TV markets that make up their conferences, they are in a position of power and they are going to milk this thing out as long as possible. And when they expand from 12 to 14 or 16 here in the next couple of years, they obviously want, as we know, certain qualifiers. So it's not even scared. They just want a guaranteed piece of the pie and they want to have a better chance of their schools getting into a national title game. And like on the surface, it sounds like, oh yeah, it makes sense. The problem is it's been working in this direction for a very long time. Where I'll agree with you fully is that if we ever had a true separation, even if it's kind of happening already before our eyes, a true separation when the SEC and Big Ten are playing for their own national title, and then there's everybody else playing for a quote unquote lesser national title, that's when the sport obviously falls apart. So we'll see.
I think that's what the SEC actually wants. Or to cave to all of their demands. Again, they're holding you in the guillotine. And they're saying, I can either chop your head off, or you can agree to be a lesser citizen under a million other cases. Like, agree to all my demands, or I'm killing you. That's it. That's the only choice.
Doing it, though, right, is because they're the ones in charge.
Yep.
Like they're also, like, Gold is right in the fact that they're looking out for themselves, as they technically should be, but
no, but it's got to be both. You can't just look out. Like, just in life, you can't just look out for yourself. You should care about other people.
I think it's the obligation of Tony Petitti, who's the Big Ten commissioner, and Greg Sankey to look out for what's best to the sport because they are the ones in charge. But they're ultimately going to side with themselves, which is the way that it just is. But the problem started was when they got in charge and they were able to make the main decisions, and everybody else had to either agree or, there wasn't a true agreement in how things are going because it's always going to be the SEC and the Big Ten on top. It was interesting. So Kirby Smart also, these guys that are having the spring meetings in Destin for the SEC was asked about it. And Kirby was like, well, college basketball, we had RPI, and there were 13 of 16 teams that make it from our conference in the tournament. Nobody was complaining about that. To which I would say,
the 14th team probably was, I guess.
Well, to which I would say, there's also 37 at-large bids in the NCAA tournament. There's only 7 in college football. And if you were to go off if you did the BCS rankings, because somebody goes through and they do this, if you did the BCS rankings last season, there's only one switch. Boise State is still in, SMU is still in, Indiana is still in, Clemson is out, Alabama's in. Other than that, the same. One. Other than that, the 12 is the exact same with a RPI, quote unquote, computer-based system. So it's really not that much different than what we saw last year if we go off of just the BCS alone. They're trying to play victim in a system where they're the ones who are getting everything handed to them more than anybody else.
But how long, if you give them this, just dead serious, and I'm not even trying to be hype, like, if you give them this, how long until they ask what Drew just said? Oh, by the way, we'd also like 10 guaranteed spots in the NCAA tournament. We're the big dog. We control football, so we'd also like to control
the conferences
basketball.
should all split away from the NCAA tournament. They can run it themselves. They don't need that's a whole other topic we've had on the show before. The NCAA,
because college basketball actually has their own committee.
Yeah, it's different. It's not. Again, I know you know this, but a reminder.
They're just saying, like, we'll just demand that. We'll do our own tournament, and we'd like 10 spots.
Like, I know you know this, but the college football playoff is not operated by the NCAA. We all for those that most people know, but
it's
for those
that
versus the NCAA tournament is an truly an NCAA event. They run it. They're basically a event company in that. Yeah, every other one. But that's why I'm saying
they don't need the NCAA tournament. They start doing themselves. When is it that when they do that, they're going to ask for guaranteed spots for the SEC and the Big Ten, and they're going to ask for more than the ACC and the Big 12 get?
They could for basketball. They're not in the same position of power for basketball, but yes, I mean some of this is they're always. I'm not disagreeing that there aren't consequences. Some of this is like when everybody was somehow accepting those in power 15 plus years ago that it was going to be all about TV ratings and dollar signs, right? Thank you, Mark Mangino. Then we obviously got to a point where what you're describing and like for the good of the sport stuff, that all went by the wayside a long time ago, man.
Otherwise, we'd still have regional rivalries in the sport, right?
We'll see.
That's the biggest thing with the SEC. I think that's the most annoying is complaining about how the conference is too hard, but you're stealing away the best teams from other conferences that are already very good. You're making your conference more difficult. So as a result, it's going to be harder for your teams to win games. And in a system that is supposed to have conference championships that matter and is including everybody still at this moment, if you go 9-3, you're going to not make it. In particular, if you go back and you look at the losses that Boise State had and SMU had and Indiana had, all three of them, they probably weren't that much better than Alabama. However, if you play the games and you look at the schedule, SMU, Boise State, and Indiana had losses that were not as bad as Alabama's loss to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
As a result, those three made it into the playoff, and Alabama didn't. And the only reason Alabama didn't make it is really because Clemson beat SMU in the ACC title game. That is the only thing that changed based on the top 12 in that final week of the season.
Yeah, this is all stuff that's been in the works for a while, and it's going to be another 5 to 10 years before we see any huge shift. The next big thing will be in about 2 years when, or another year and a half, I guess, when we see expansion of the college football playoff continue. And someone said, hey, why don't they just not schedule SEC teams? Problem again, it goes back to the money. If you are in a smaller conference, you might get a $500,000 payday to go play at Alabama. You can't pass. This is where you're at, and it's how expensive college athletics.
That's why Akron is so happy to get their ass kicked 63-0 by Ohio State because they get a fat paycheck at the end of the day.
That's right.
Speaking of football, I did see Bill Barnwell was talking a little bit about a guy we've talked about on the show before. Bill Barnwell, who works over at ESPN. Was working on a solution for the 2028 Olympic flag football thing we've been talking about. And our guy, Daryl Doucette III, was out grandstanding a little bit again and said, quote, they don't need NFL players, and the current players deserve their opportunity to compete for the gold medal. Second part of that, I kind of get his point. We have been
have a chance.
The national competitors for flag football this entire time. I'm not saying they don't deserve an opportunity to be on the team, but how do you create that opportunity? Bill Barnwell both solved this problem and the Pro Bowl at the same time. USA NFL players versus U.S. national flag football team right now.
Perfect.
Pro Bowl
Let's
weekend.
go.
Perfect.
Bring it on.
Perfect.
If you guys don't think you need NFL players, you think you're so much better than the sport of us, give us a couple weeks practice at it. Throw us in a Pro Bowl game against each other, and let's see if what you're saying is true. Let's see if Lamar
The winner gets to go to the Olympics, is what you're saying.
I'm saying yes. Or at the very
Or it's
least,
just a tryout, and everybody can have
it's a
everybody can
tryout.
basically have a pretty good idea
It's a
about
tryout,
who.
and if
Look,
Doucette dominates against the defense, then we can have a conversation. But if if they score 63-0, none of y'all are in. We're done here.
And look,
it
I
was
think,
nice meeting you.
I'm sure there's a few players that are playing that and that are you would like. I don't think I'll be honest. I don't think the USA flag football Olympic team in 2026 or 2028. I'm sorry, out in LA. I don't think that team needs to only have NFL players. I think there will be one or two guys that have played flag football and know the sport. Because remember, you're also playing offense and defense too. So you know there's going to be some.
There's roster sizes for this that you don't necessarily have to play both because it's 12-man rosters. You could play just 5-5.
I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but. I don't believe your quarterback is not going to be an NFL quarterback. And that's what this guy's all worried about because he knows he's not beating out an NFL quarterback. He can maybe be a different position.
Working on his
you're not beating out an NFL quarterback. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen,
Daniels,
whoever, right? Like you're not beating out the NFL quarterback. Sorry.
I would love to imagine if it actually does happen though, where they play the game and Daryl Doucette, as I hear, is just throwing dots, and he actually plays better than an NFL quarterback. What happens?
And I've watched him throw.
Oh, I know.
A competitive U.S. national. I'm just telling you right now, Trent McDuffie would be standing in front of that ball.
I mean, listen to him.
He wouldn't even have to be in a break.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I feel like I'm better than Patrick Mahomes because of my IQ of the game. I know he's right now the best in the league. I know he's more accurate. I know he has all these intangibles. But when it comes to flag football, I feel like I know more than him.
You probably do on the rule. You probably know the rules, but you're telling me Patrick Mahomes, he's got 2 years. You're telling me Patrick Mahomes is not going to work his ass off to make sure he understands the game of flag football?
It's not that much different in the rules, except for instead of tackling, you pull someone's flag.
I'm better than Patrick Mahomes.
That man studies complex NFL defenses. I'm not even saying there aren't good athletes. They're definitely good athletes.
Now, you would agree, though, if you were him from just a personal standpoint.
It sucks because you spent your life doing this.
And now you're going to have your opportunity taken away from you. I totally get that.
Here's the thing. You're not better. Like that's just the way the Olympics work. The Olympics are for the greatest athletes on the planet at the sport in which they're being asked to compete in. If you aren't that, they're not robbing you of your opportunity. You're not good enough. And it's okay to not be good enough to be an Olympic level athlete. Most of us aren't. Like 99.9% of society aren't. But just put them up against each other. Dude, I'd watch that. I haven't watched a Pro Bowl in 20 years. At least 20. The high school.
Yeah, someone brought up a good point, though.
If you put that game on, I'm in.
Someone brought up a good point, though. The problem with doing it at the Pro Bowl, you won't have the best players available for that.
No, but if we get close enough.
Because if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, Mahomes not available. If another team's in the Super Bowl, they're not.
Wasn't Mac Jones a Pro Bowler last year or something?
If you go off of last year, though, alone, I feel like I think Lamar Jackson is the perfect quarterback to take for flag football.
So do I.
Lamar Jackson would be available. Justin Jefferson was available. Jamar Chase was available. I mean, your team. You're like we even talked about it. How many Chiefs do you think are actually on the roster?
Well, you can only have one. So,
one.
You can only have one.
I assume they'll have one.
You can only have one, but also remember, this isn't until 2028. So some of these guys are going to be older. I mean, even someone on the text line pointed out this Doucette guy that's talking. He's going to be 39 by the time the Olympics.
You're telling me 33-year-old Patrick Mahomes might not be.
That's the other thing with all this. Mahomes may not be the best available option in 2 years for flag football. Before everybody freaks out, not talking about for the NFL, for flag football, it might be. Heck, it could be some guy that's not even in the NFL yet. We have no idea.
How is this going to work out, though, with the NFL? Because the Olympics are obviously in July and August.
We don't know the exact
setup. We're talking, you're missing training camp to play flag football.
That's why it's one player per team. That's why it's one player per team. Because,
I still don't think it should be limited to that, but that's
there's only 12 on the field. There'll be some reserves. So we're talking about probably 15.
Every team's not going to have one anyway, yeah.
There'll be 15 to 20 max players that are actually missing training camp in the entire league. They'll be okay.
I think it'll be more than that because I'm still convinced there'll be a dual citizenship angle for somebody.
Maybe. Okay.
And there'll be players whose parents grew up in a different country, whatever. There'll be a couple of other.
For sure.
I think it'll be more like 40 NFL players, but it's not as many as they're making it out to be. And every other sport does this. And if the NFL is serious, and I know that they are, about growing the game internationally, well, then you have to do this. You don't have a choice. You have.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out and what
I guess the
how the
maximum would be
roster
32, couldn't be 40.
Yeah, how the roster restrictions go and how truly is there a tryout, a qualify? How does it actually get determined who is making this darn team?
I don't like a Ryder Cup. We just choose.
I don't think they would, but the U.S. had better not lose.
Oh, for
they
sure.
Better
that
not,
would be embarrassing.
They had better
No,
not lose.
They have to win gold.
That's
for sure.
That's worse than I would
It'd be
argue.
worse than basketball. 100%.
Way worse.
Yes.
100%.
Way worse.
Way worse.
There's not
This
the
is
same
our
international.
sport.
So much worse.
It's our sport, but also there's not the same there's high level international basketball. High level.
Very high level.
There's not
international
high
basketball.
level football. Heck, there's two other leagues, take college football out of it. There's these random spring leagues that suck that are being played in the United States.
And
you think
the
they're going to
Canadian
find something
Football League,
randomly? Yeah, the Canadian Football League's higher level than this USFL crap that's going on or whatever it's called right now, where that league, their TV ratings stink right now, too.
I can't wait for that future flag football guy who's the 13th guy on Team USA makes a catch being some camp darling. You know, the guy who's in the CFL, who made the USA team, who scores a couple of touchdowns.
This would be Ellersy's time to shine. He's
going
the guy
to be
on
he's
the
gonna be
Welsh
on the
team.
Wales team. Yeah, for sure. He's going to have to teach everyone else how to play the game. Although,
So
again,
wins, okay. All right.
I like that he would just
Do
be
we know
solely
when they
going for
have
the
to make a
opposite of his
decision on
original
this?
sport. Maximum contact in rugby to flag football. Someone says running backs.
Someone says, why do we need NFL players to go against Sweden in the Olympics? Let the flag football guys win. Because I don't want to watch guys I have no clue who the hell they are. And the NFL wants it for branding. But also, would you rather watch Lamar Jackson play flag football or people you have no clue
For
who
the
they
same
are?
reason I didn't want to watch college guys in basketball.
If they're the best in the world. No, by the way, if we talk about figure skating, we don't say, we know we have better people that can do it, but we don't want to send them to the Olympics. We don't do that for any. We don't say we have a great. We don't have a great USA basketball team from NBA
we
guys.
Did for a while. We just send a bunch of random college kids.
We're just going to do that instead. I understand for baseball they do it. That's why I don't watch the baseball in the Olympics because it sucks.
Yeah, but in fairness, you guys just as well as I can. We're not naming figure skaters right now, so we don't know who they are anyways, and we're still watching.
My point is we send the best. My point is we send the best to represent our country in the Olympics. Why would we send the best in football? The best has to be NFL players. If maybe one or two. You can't tell me there's a roster of 12 flag football guys that are better than all 12 NFL potential options.
I don't think there's a single player in the entire USA flag football team who's better than any NFL player who would try out. I think they would immediately be better. I mean,
there might be somebody who's better at picking flags than anybody else. I don't know.
But the agility.
It's also just great for the NFL for branding, but yeah.
We're pretending they talk about these rules like it's learning, like it's a cipher code or something. There's no way it can be that hard to learn how to grab a flag. These guys do little tennis ball. They catch marbles and stuff at training camp the entire time. Now they can't get a flag. They do nothing but agility and eye test and training. That's their whole life. Doucette probably works at Lowe's on the weekend.
Shout out Lowe's.
He doesn't do it all. He doesn't just do it every second of every day. It's crazy.
I'm just saying.
I mean, we're not acting like we're asking NFL players to go and play soccer and represent the country. Then I would understand how crazy that would be. They're playing the same sport, even if it's a different rule alteration. These guys are the best in the world. I don't think they're going to be incapable of learning how to play flag football. That's all. We'll find out. Up next, let's get to what's trending. Let's talk a little bit more about what the Royals are trying to do with a familiar face on the bump against them tonight.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Don't forget, a little bit later on this week, on Friday, it's First Inning Friday on FanDuel, where every week, FanDuel is hooking all customers up with a special offer you can use on early game MLB action. So you can put your baseball knowledge to the test from the very first swing with no runs and yes runs first inning bets. Will anyone score in the game's first frame? Check each team's season stats right on the FanDuel app and make that call. Every First Inning Friday, you can expect a special reward like profit boost, no sweat bet, or more. So make sure and come back every week to take another swing. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex. America's #1 sportsbook is FanDuel. Make every moment more. FanDuel is an official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
Shawnee Mission Ford, here with a huge announcement. This month, it's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. Let me tell you one more time. It's employee pricing for all at Shawnee Mission Ford. You pay what we pay, not 1 cent more. You heard right. We got the employee pricing for everyone on new Fords. But that's not all. When you buy from Shawnee Mission Ford, you not only get employee pricing, but you also get our lifetime powertrain warranty, along with our 1-year Select Plus protection with your new vehicle purchase. This is what makes Shawnee Mission Ford different. You get all of it. Employee pricing on a great selection of new Fords, plus lifetime powertrain warranty, along with the 1-year Select Plus protection. And Shawnee Mission Ford is still going to offer you the highest trade values in Kansas City. Do not miss employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Shawnee Mission Ford, where we're on a mission to save you more.
Excludes 25 Super Duties, Raptor line vehicles, 25 Expeditions, and E-line vehicles.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-317-1890. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890. 800-317-1890.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
The countdown to Miss Twin Peaks 2025 is on, and voting for Miss Popular is officially live. Click 2025MissTwinPeaks.com to learn more about the contest and cast your 5 votes for your favorite Twin Peaks girl. Let the voting begin.
Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. In-store only, limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Buying a new car might make you say things like,
I can't believe it.
Seriously, it's ours? Is this real life?
Move it!
Yeah, it's real life, all right.
But what you really need to say is something that can protect your new ride.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yep, we're here to help you choose the coverage you need. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
During National Military Appreciation Month, we at University of Maryland Global Campus say thank you to the service members, veterans, and families who dedicate their lives to our country. We are deeply grateful. For over 75 years, UMGC has proudly served the military community, from installations overseas to the communities you call home. Wherever you serve, we stand with you. Learn more at umgc.edu/thanks. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? You can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get chicken parmesan delivered. Sunshine? No. Some wine? Yes. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. See app for details.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have your phone first, before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man.
Oh, no, wait, my phone! Come back! It's got my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life! Come back!
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? You can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get chicken parmesan delivered. Sunshine? No. Some wine? Yes. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. See app for details.
Summer around the corner, which means it's time to build your dream deck. You know, I've got 4 decks in the house. I'm very important that I want to work with local companies that do good work. All Weather Decks does great work, and they've got the right deck at the right price. Check out their 24-time winner of Angie's List Super Service Award. You can take a look at their work, the quality of it. Doesn't matter if you want a screen porch, a deck, anything that's got to do with your outside area. They are happy to let you take a look at their showroom and find out for yourself what that dream deck looks like for you. With summer around and getting spring here now, it is deck season in Kansas City, which means you want to take care of this now. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net or schedule your free estimate at 913-206-1974.
Brought to you by MVP. Only $39 for an AC tune-up. Book now at themvpkc.com. MVP Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric is your home's MVP this spring and summer. Get a summer AC tune-up for just $39 and avoid costly repairs. 913-214-1212 or visit themvpkc.com. MVP. One call does it all.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's trending here on Cody and Gold is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. The Royals dropped game 1 of their series against the Reds yesterday. Tonight they're back at it, 6:40 first pitch right here on 96.5 The Fan. Vern's On Deck show is at 5:30. Brady Singer, former Royal, on the bump for the Reds. The Royals will send out Daniel Lynch, what's expected to be a bullpen game. We're going to talk more about Brady Singer, what he's been able to do for the Reds, and obviously Jonathan India. But tonight also, I believe, is the Pasquatch necklace giveaway. I think that's tonight.
Third time. He's been playing great.
Yeah, you get yourself a little Pasquatch necklace.
You think it's made of real gold? I'm kidding.
Yeah, yep, definitely.
God, that would be the greatest giveaway. I'd be in line tonight. Are you kidding?
Uh-huh.
A real gold necklace? Gold's a lot. Gold's expensive. Next up on What's Trending, OTA starting around the NFL today, the Chiefs included. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are expected to talk later in the week as they get underway. Mostly what this time is who's there and who's not there. So far, no early surprises of who's not there for Kansas City. Biggest one probably in the league is that the Steelers, who never say, they got a company policy on not saying who. Aaron Rodgers probably isn't there, but also Kirk Cousins skipped showing up to the Falcons OTAs today. Not totally a surprise. I assume for him, I'd show up a little bit later if I were him too. He's not the starter, Gold. He's still hoping Aaron Rodgers decides to change his mind and not show up in Pittsburgh.
Could be. That would be a possible destination for him. That's for sure. Elsewhere in What's Trending, NBA postseason continues. The Thunder now have a 3-1 series lead over the Timberwolves. Also, the Knicks-Pacers. Game 4 is tonight. Pacers this time around blew a lead. The trend right now in this series is like if you feel third quarter or even late in the fourth, if your team has a big lead and you really want to send out that tweet that says, you know, this one's over, usually that's going to backfire. That's going to backfire on you the way the series has gone. I thought the Knicks were cooked midway through the third quarter 2 nights ago or whatever that was, and they ended up coming back and winning. I still think the Pacers win the series, but we have to admit, if the Knicks win this one and it's 2-2 going back to the Garden, then obviously everything is on the Knicks side. Although I will say, as much as we talk about Madison Square Garden, you know the Knicks are 3-5 this postseason at home.
It's weird. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Again, it's like the Garden has never been like, because the Knicks have mostly not been good during my time. It always just feels a little bit weird. Next up on What's Trending, both Kansas State and KU are both in the regionals for the College Baseball World Series. Obviously, that doesn't mean they're in Omaha yet. Yeah. They have a chance to earn a spot in Omaha as the way it's headed there. Kansas State will head to Austin for their regional. Kansas will head to Fayetteville for their regional. They'll take on Creighton in the first round. And if they're lucky enough to get past there, we'll have to take on the perennial powerhouse, Arkansas Razorbacks, who do, I will say, in fairness, have a bit of a history of blowing it in the regional part of the category. So, maybe that'd be good for Kansas. I like the Omahogs versus the Omahawks. Everybody trying to figure out a way to make their name works that way.
Omahawks, if they can get there.
Omahogs on
if they can get there, man. That is what's trending Here on Cody and Gold, I just saw the media relations director and the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nicholas Batters, post a video of the media that are all up in Omaha.
Good scrum?
First time. Yeah, good media scrum. Cags talking to the media in Omaha for the first time. And I think, looks like, is that maybe a Kansas City media member or two that drove up there? I know, definitely a lot of, I see a couple people I recognize as well going up there for Cags.
On the back of their head, I can't tell.
Yeah, there's a few people I recognize. There's Cags' Omaha debut, not his AAA debut, but his Omaha debut at Werner Park. And I know some of you have texted heading up there this weekend. That's the plan for me as well.
Do you know this guy's in the maroon shirt? Because he looks very unhappy to be there.
I do not.
Do you see his face?
I don't know. He might be with the Omaha World Herald. That's
Look how
my guess.
displeased, Gold. Look how displeased he looks to be there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He's making quite a sour face. I don't blame him for making the drive up. We made the drive down not that long ago, and you're going to Omaha this weekend.
Yes. Looking forward to
You
that.
and Dusty Likens are going to go up and watch some Cags, right?
That's right. That's the plan, man. We're going to head up there. We got the accommodations figured out as well for the weekend. So it should be a good time. The weather's going to be great up in Omaha.
If you got called up on Friday, can you cancel the hotel, the Airbnb?
No, I'm going to Omaha no matter what.
You're going to Omaha no matter what. You're saying.
Well, not if his debut is
Cags'
Friday night.
debut is Friday night.
No,
You're not
then
going to
I'll
Omaha,
go
right?
his debut, and then I guess we'll go to Omaha Saturday. I don't know. The hotel is so we booked our hotel rooms literally this weekend. So I'm not worried about him getting called up on Friday. So I think we're.
I
good.
don't think that's going to be the case. Although again, I think the timeline's moved up. I just don't think it's moved up to this.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's been moved up as we talked about. But I'll be looking forward to heading up to Omaha this weekend.
Batter shouldn't get too comfortable watching Jack Caglianone.
I don't
guess
think
that's
so.
the point I'm making.
I don't think so.
You might only get a couple of weeks.
Tonight, Brady Singer, though, he's back on the bump for the Reds, which I'm sure will be a very weird moment for him going up against a lot of his former teammates. On the flip side, Jonathan India is going up against his old team. He already played his old team last night. He, of course, as we know, as a leadoff hitter for this team, if you couple with defense, has been a little disappointing to say the least. I still think if you asked me to make the trade again, I would make it. I really would. And this is not just because, like, oh my gosh, they can do no wrong. No, look, think about it. Brady Singer is having an okay season for the Reds. Mm-hmm. It's not even about what he would have been.
4.9.
It's the fact that you traded away Brady Singer. Your pitching staff, thanks to Chris Bubich in particular,
it's actually been better.
Somehow. So yeah,
and not because of the absence of Singer,
but you haven't had a drop off. If you would have had a trade away Brady Singer to the Reds, and your pitching staff would have really fallen off, and you were getting what you're getting from Jonathan India, well, then it's a disastrous trade. But your pitching is better, so now we're just talking about what are you getting offensively, in my opinion, from India, and he is slightly below where he's been as a career hitter, and you have not gotten what you thought you were getting fully. And so, yeah, that part of it is disappointing. But, man, I'll tell you, I for those like saying they would take back the trade, so tell me what you would have done this. So you would have held on to Brady Singer.
And just try to pitch your way out of an already bad offense?
Chris Bubich would have been in the bullpen for you.
I guess Lorenzen would just not be around.
You just wouldn't have signed Lorenzen back to the team? Okay. Well, Lorenzen, you just wouldn't have re-signed him. So Lorenzen wouldn't have been re-signed. So you would have had Bubich and Singer in the rotation. Who would have been leading off? And hindsight's hindsight's a hell of a thing. Because if you would have said Michael.
But then you only go 3 deep in the lineup.
You would not have. Here's the thing, though. If we're being honest, none of you on February 1st would have said you were good with Michael Garcia leading off. None of you. Now, I get why you're saying that. Nobody would have said that because we saw it for 107 games last year. It's why you wanted them to go out and get a new leadoff hitter. Now, if you want to argue they should have traded for an outfielder, I'll totally listen to that. Obviously, we all know where that's at, and that's not even hindsight 2020. That was a recognizable
No, they might
issue.
have dodged some bullets of players they were really interested in, like Santander.
But I still would have done the trade, and I'm also not convinced that we've seen the end product of what the trade's going to be for Jonathan India. It's there's still a chance that by the time we get into the season, your feeling is a little bit different about him.
No, I wouldn't go back and do it. It's fine. Has Jonathan India performed to the level he is capable of, or just what his career averages are? No. Mm-hmm. Is he like so far off of that you think it's just shot with no hope? Also, no. As you've pointed out, the biggest concern with him is that he has been not unplayable in the field, but it's been kind of a tough defensive watch. And so if just that alone can improve, I think that's why Michael Massey continues to get a lot of time, even though his hitting has not even been equal to that of Jonathan India's. They need Jonathan India to hit for this offense to fix, and they cannot fix the offense with one guy. Jonathan India can't just start hitting and then they'll be fine. Because we said if that was the case, well, then they'd be fine now. Vinny Pasquantino's hitting 350 in May. He's been tremendous. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball in May over the last 30, 40 games. So, like, forget the April start. Vinny's back. And Mikel's hit pretty much this entire time. And Bobby's in a little bit of a slight cold stretch, which I'm in no way worried about. But, like, Salvador Perez and India are still the ones. If you're going to, like, scrape by offensively. Because that's really what it comes down to. And the reason why, Gold, I think they made all these moves. Why Lofton and Rave and why a month back Waters is that they understand now that the position they put themselves before the season wasn't going to work. And they know that they can't trade for a player yet because that's not really how it works. And they're trying not to call Jack Caglianone up yet, even though he will be a part of the solution here very soon, I think, in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I see like Matt Foster over KCTV5, it's an out, or I'm sorry, KSHB, it's an out that they had, like Bobby Witt and Vinny Pasquantino had already reached out to him when he had reached AAA to congratulate him on getting to that level. So, like, I think they understand as leaders of the team. I bet they don't do that for every guy who gets called to AAA. I bet that they save those calls for the ones that are a big part or a future plan of the Major League roster.
Everybody knows that, eventually he's going to be part of the equation. And they knew that in spring training, and they knew that a long time ago.
But they have to just bide their time until then. And unfortunately, India just getting on base a little bit more would help them bide their time. Every game is 1-1 in the sixth, man. Every single Royals game is it's 1-1 in the sixth. And it's like, they won't they today?
They're very similar. Yeah, so the texter earlier in the show mentioned the defensive numbers. We asked him, like, with the metric on that. Jonathan India, -9 in runs prevented, which is dead last in that particular.
That's above average, and and -9 in runs prevented.
Yeah, has not been pretty. Remember, the original plan was he was going to play third base basically all year, mix in some left field and all that.
Which I thought was a more natural position.
Mix in left field.
He played a lot in college, but.
Well, it was weird. Based on report, we had Ryan Lefevre on the show. We had Vern on the show during spring training, and both of them, everybody said he looked really good at third base in spring training. So, spring training's not regular season baseball. More confirmation on that.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. I still think India can work. I still think the plan was a good one. It's not working right now. Look, their outfield plan was not a good one. I would have not argued that. You and I didn't argue that going into the season, Gold. There's a difference. You and I both walked into the season and be like, well, I think we know what the biggest problem is. It's left and right field. Corner outfield is just banking on a prayer at this point, and that turned out to be the case. They have sent down a left fielder to AAA. They have sent down now a different outfielder who they were rotating in Kevin Biggio to AAA, and they have cut Hunter Renfroe. So the corner outfield plan has just struck out. The infield plan is still on track to have a chance to work. It has not been an utter failure with Jonathan India. And I do think that part of this equation for Brady Singer, who will pitch tonight, is Singer's not been a dominant force who figured it all out, who went to another place. He's been fine. He's pitching in a much worse park than the one he's used to. Yeah. As a result of that, he's probably struggling a little bit because he got an ERA near 4. Now, his FIP or any of the other ones would say he's a better pitcher than that. Generally speaking, his ERA should be a little bit lower. But he's not been, like, out of the world tough. Do you think, is he going to shove tonight?
I think one of two things is happening.
Are we thinking 7 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts for Singer tonight? Or are we thinking he gets lit up through 2-3 innings and the Royals kind of pile on him?
It's just going one of two ways tonight. Brady Singer is either having a no-no going into the 6th or 7th inning tonight, or Jonathan India is hitting a home run or 2 tonight. Either way, there's no middle ground here. Brady Singer
either dealing the whole
Brady
night.
Singer is either pitching well into the 7th and 8th with a no-no, or Jonathan India's got 2 home runs off him. That's what we're seeing tonight. Yep, that's what we're seeing.
Okay.
In fact, should make a bet on it.
Which one? Both?
Both.
What can I get on a Jonathan India home run? How many does he have this year? Like
1? 1.
Well, should be getting pretty good odds then, I would think. Could be wrong. I know some of the apps have been offering a, free, like a free bet or at least a no sweat bet, on a home run. So maybe I could, maybe take a chance. Take a chance on Jonathan India. Let's see.
I got a bonus bet from
plus 850
BetMGM
for 1 home run.
Plus 850 for 1 home run. For 2? Plus 11,000.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to put $5 in show
fund? What about
fund?
a no-no for Brady Singer tonight?
Hey, if you guys want to put $10 in the show fund, we could win $1,100.
Let's go.
2 plus. Well, we could just do $5. Win $500. If Jonathan India hits 2.
You're not going to let me bet a no-no? Doesn't look like it.
Really?
No.
Why not?
No, I don't know why they're worried. it's going to happen. That's why.
I got an email about a bonus bet from BetMGM over the weekend. I found out it's the Indiana BetMGM, so I can't use it here in Kansas. It doesn't switch over, I guess.
Wait, they're two different. They've merged the accounts, but yeah.
Hits allowed. Let's see.
If I was in Indiana, I could get a $10 bonus bet.
I can only get him to only 3 or.
Yeah, give me the note. Maybe I got to wait till closer to first pitch. You know.
Yeah. Can't get a lot of data.
What if you do specific? Let's go specific. Batter props first at bat. Hold on. Well, let me do a first at bat. One of the apps will. Not. I don't think I can find it on here. I was gonna say first at bat home run. What does that pay out?
Oh, now you want to know? Like if Jonathan India just lead off homer
right away.
Probably plus 700 or something.
Someone says I'll donate $1,000 to the show fund. If India hits 2 home runs tonight, they'll donate. By the way,
just give it to me. I don't even have to make the bet.
Sir, I am taking a photo of your text and phone number. If he does that, we will be calling you right at the beginning of the show tomorrow.
Plus 1,800 first plate appearance home run for Jonathan India.
I'm just
10
saying.
to win 190.
Sir, from the 816 that has his phone number in 595, I will be calling you to start the show tomorrow. If in fact that happens,
Can get you on the horn for that $1,000.
We'll go ahead and get that. You can
binding.
go ahead and just get that taken care of. Yep.
So right to Cody-tap. We'll just take that cash right up front.
That one you can actually even send to Alex.
Honestly, it'd probably be smart to hedge his bet to bet the $10 on it. That way, it really actually does. He can pay it and not even have to worry about it. Either it only costs him $10 one way or the other. Clear $100 because it'll pay you $1,100. You know.
That's right. That is true.
That'd feel kind of sucky to only win $100 on Jonathan India to hit 2 home runs.
So.
When he has 2. But yeah, plus 1,800 for him to get a home run and his very first at bat.
Okay.
If you know what though? You get plus 425, it's a strikeout. If you're just thinking one guy's getting the other, Gold. Plus 425, Jonathan India first plate appearance strikeout. Plus 1,800 home runs. So just as long as you get one of those 2 results.
Look, I don't like doing this because we're in Kansas City, but I must say one bet that is if you just think Brady Singer 7 strikeouts and the Reds win 10 to 1. You just think he shoves?
I don't like betting against the Royals.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I hope they rock him. I hope Jonathan India hits a leadoff home run. I hope he hits 2 of them tonight, and I hope they just knock him out within the first 4 innings. It'd be beautiful.
If he's going to hit 2 tonight, he's going to get that one in that leadoff.
It'd be hilarious. By the way, I will be.
You're playing this back tomorrow if that's the case.
Yeah.
Someone says if Singer gets home ballpark benefit, does India also get learning new league benefit of no doubt? It's funny because they know each other. Those 2 guys are really, really good friends. I mean, really, really good friends. College teammates. Singer, that's always the part of this that's so weird about professional sports that I guess I'd love to have a deeper conversation with about guys who've moved around a little bit. Not even guys who've had a chance to just stay where they are, but like Brady Singer he went to JJ and for years had traded this guy. Trade for Jonathan India. He's a winner. The guy knows what to do. He gets on base. This guy will help our baseball team. He's worth it. And eventually they do trade for him, but trade you away. Like, exile you is a part of the process. And I know that it's not that way. I don't think JJ was doing it that way. I don't think it's malicious. It's just the player the Reds wanted for the player you wanted. And so, it just happened to be 2 college teammates who are friends getting swapped for each other. But what a weird thing. I don't know.
It feels like Brady would have more against the Royals than Jonathan India would have against the Reds, though, because of that reason.
Someone says if India hits 2 bombs, that'll somehow be the only offense the Royals get for the game. Come on, don't be so negative.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, the numbers say that in Royals games, both teams combined average the lowest average in Royals games since 1972, as in 6.6 runs per game between the Royals.
Have the second best team ERA in baseball and score the 3rd least amount of runs. It's such a weird. I feel better about the team with that stat than worse. I know that stat is supposed to make me feel bad, but I think that this would be a losing team under almost any circumstance with that record.
Well,
Don't make me I can look at the records of the teams who are scoring less runs than them. It's bad.
The last bullpen game, they broke out offensively against the Giants, and tonight they got a bullpen game. It looks like with Daniel Lynch against Brady Singer. We'll see what happens. The offense picked up the bullpen. The last time they needed a bullpen game, we'll see if they can do it twice in a week.
Can you do me a favor? Pull up the Major League Baseball standings before we get out of here. I want to test a theory here. I want to see how many teams we have to go through and runs per game below the Royals or ahead of the Royals until we get a winning team. Pittsburgh, their record?
Pittsburgh Pirates would be 19-36.
Okay, so 17 games below 500. The Rockies.
Wow. 9-45.
My God. Oh, my God. The Rangers are tied for the Royals at 3.33 runs per game. They just called up their version.
Rangers
of
are 26-29.
Okay, so 3 games below 500, but closer. Chicago White Sox.
Wow. 17-37.
So miserable. Baltimore Orioles.
19-34.
These are the teams around the world. So on average, about 20 games below 500, it appears, is where we're at. And then finally, I think a winning